What's up, everybody? Paul here from the Hoops Crew, and it is post-game trade wrap time. And I don't know, Cats fans were a bit disappointed again. The last time we did one of these, grand final defeat. This time, taking a trade week L as well. Looking to get all of your thoughts over the course of the night, though. Looking forward to chatting to all of you in the chat. As Ben has pointed out, clicked the wrong one. Half the people in the thumbnail not traded in the end. This is one of those weird ones. We haven't had a year like this in quite some time. It does feel in some sense, oh, look at that. Ross Lyon getting behind the mics and doing the media talks. Fuck you, Ross. We're probably a little bit soon into the stream for me to start cursing people out like that. But anyway, let's kind of start picking through this. The main thing for Cats fans is that Rowan Marshall and Charlie Curnow, neither of them. Oh, Ross is talking about the Cats right now. Oh, you kind of something throw away at the end there. I kind of missed the majority of that in the end, but someone in the chat, I'm sure you'll be able to clarify it. The two big targets for the Cats, Rowan Marshall and Charlie Curnow, neither of them in blue and white next year, unfortunately. So we... Oh, no, they're talking about Zach Merritt. Sorry, I'm half distracted here, so try to keep a bit of an eye on things. But we'll start getting all of you on. There's a QR code in the corner there, so if you want to pop in and discuss not just Geelong's movements, but of course Charlie Curnow, which did get through, and a range of other trades that did occur. I'm keen to hear all of your thoughts. First up, we've got Ben here. I'm just going to kind of mute my trade radio side of things just so I can listen to Ben properly. But welcome aboard, mate. How's things?
Yeah, going good. I've just been watching the last hour. It's just hard. Half the trades that were expected didn't happen in the end. But I just point out, so Sydney traded for Curnow for 3 future first round picks, which is the same offer we did, except they just had Will Hayward added onto the offer.
Now sorry, actually go on. No, share all your thoughts first before I kind of...
Who's like the equivalent of our Will Hayward? Ollie Henry then?
No, I'd say Will Hayward's ahead of Ollie Henry. We're probably talking about a Tyson Stengel.
I'm
not saying we should have made that transaction ourselves, but I would say, like, if we're talking for players of similar sort of levels, that's probably your equivalent there.
Probably is. So if we just added Stengel on the deal, that probably gets done for Curnow.
Yeah, but I don't want to get rid of Tyson Stengel in that sort of scenario. Brad Close should suggesting as a parallel. No, I would personally put him ahead of Brad Close. But of course, I think the way we perceive the relevance of Brad Close is different, I think, to the way a lot of others will perceive Brad Close. But they've also, like Carlton, and this is one of the things I had a lot of insight into last year during actually like back in May last year when there was a lot of noise behind the scenes that wasn't going public about Will Hayward at the time. And then he eventually signed on. There was like 3 or 4 meetings involving him, like several of them where he'd come into town. There was one right off the back of opening round when Sydney, Carlton went out and met up with Sydney, and Will Hayward came to town. Like it was all over the place. I rate him much higher than Brad Close in terms of the grand scheme of things. Yeah, Tyson Stengel's probably the parallel for me. Still 3 first rounders and a starting 23 player in, I think, any team in the competition. That is a huge price to pay. It's more than what we paid ultimately for Jeremy Cameron. And I don't think Charlie Curnow matches Jeremy Cameron.
It is. Look, Curnow is... We won't talk about Sydney that much, but Curnow probably is their missing link. They don't have a key forward. By the way, I think the AFL... This must be an AFL thing. Sydney have now gotten...
speaking now as we speak, by the way.
Andrew Mackie, if he says anything, we'll say it out loud, but...
Yeah, bring him in now.
We'll listen to it.
Publicly saying they weren't going to trade him at all. Do did you feel they were going to trade for the right price and you just couldn't reach that, or they never did?
There was a conversation day one. We offered up pick 19 straight away to him, and there was a talk around some future picks. And then from there, they seemed to pivot to not trading him, which he is their player. We understand that. That's the world we're in. So that was always a possibility of how it was going, and we knew that at the start of the trade period. So, you know, we went away and had a think about what that looked like for us, and tonight tabled some pretty attractive offers, I would have thought. But, unfortunately for us, it didn't happen, but we move on. We got the draft ahead of us. We've got our full suite of picks, and we look forward to seeing what we can do with it.
How strongly did Rowan communicate his desire to play for Geelong next year to you guys?
Yeah, I'm not going to talk for Rowan, but my understanding was that was strong, his appetite to get to us. So we would have liked to deliver that. Unfortunately, didn't happen, but he would know that we tried everything we can to try and bring him in.
Andrew Mackey there from the Geelong. Yeah, they clearly...
Thanks, Damo. All right, so we'll bring that one back at any point if we need to, if there's anything else that pops up along the way. But, and I'll just make sure I'm muted on the back end, just to be sure. There we go. Jez has popped in saying, should have just offered them another first round instead, and we get our ruckman. We do need one. Look, we do need a ruckman that's going to perform at the required level, but I couldn't give away 2 firsts for Rowan Marshall, who we'd maybe get 4 years from, 5.
You'd
tops.
probably be 30, so you'd get...
Yeah.
Well, 4 would be the maximum, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even this year, for them, he was slowing down a bit in terms of output, just getting dominated by other rucks. So I don't know. I still really... Sorry, you go.
No, go on. Oh, and I can see now. I'm not clicking at the moment. Ben Reeve is hanging around in the background right now. He's pinning a few comments as we go. So bear with me. There might be some... as Ben's just also popped in the little private chat on the background. He's just on the buttons tonight. Just we're looking to pin some of those things along the way. Ben's going to inevitably throw me off my game at different stages because he'll throw something up there that I'm not expecting. But sorry, continue, mate.
I still really value the purpose and talent of Toby Conway. I feel he's got a bit lost in this year. I remember last year he did play some really good games while he was available and playing. This year, of course, it just didn't work out. But he still has a lot of talent and potential, I reckon.
Oh yeah, 100%. He just needs to get his body right. What is pleasing is that in the meantime, the amount of positivity that's building about Mitch Edwards is really, really good to hear. Of course, we saw Jacob Mollier make his debut through the VFL this year. He kicked. There was a game where he kicked 4 as well, playing forward. I think that the youth and we'll have plenty of others pop in there and talk about. Yeah, there you go. Jackie's just done it as well. The likes of Joe Pike, and there's plenty of others there that show a hell of a lot of potential. So it's definitely unfortunate, and it's now, I think, as much as we don't want to be relying on Reece Stanley this year, I think it is absolutely vindicating for the Cats to go, this is why we re-signed him and that we didn't retire him. Because what if something doesn't work out? And it didn't work out. I think there's potential there. And as Kiri says, we just need to get his body right. I mean, this has obviously been a priority, I think, for the Cats for quite some time, and it just hasn't worked out at this particular stage. But we now probably need to cross our fingers and hope that this is the year where his body comes good and he just has a gigantic breakout season. Because he's going to have to. Well, we're pinning a lot of hopes on him at this particular point. So, in the meantime, just as a little aside here, and as Geelong supporters, I'm sure we'll be absolutely delighted to discuss this. Sucked in Hawthorn. Absolutely sucked in Hawthorn. Honestly, I actually think they put together a pretty fantastic deal for Essendon. Essendon just dug in their heels. I feel for Zach Merritt. I totally understand his rationale and why he's done what he's done and where he's wanted to get to There we go. Ben with the hashtag sucked in Hawthorn.
I feel like Zach,
Um,
he lost a bit of. I'm sorry for interrupting, but I
No, you're
feel
right.
like Zach, he lost into consideration a bit their injury crisis this year. I know other years when they didn't have injuries, they still weren't great and should have been better. But I feel like Zach, he forgot that a bit, that they did have a bit of an injury crisis and were going okay when they had their full team.
I think you're overrating the Essendon Football Club, my man. But also, but some of those keys, and like one of those big ones that probably, like, I guess to your point, one of those important ones was Draper, and now he's gone. Like and what have they brought in? What have Essendon brought in this trade?
I think they got Fiorini from Gold Coast.
Yeah, he's all right.
Yeah, it's not changing your footy club or anything. I feel like we're really close in the AFL to just having what happens in the NBA, just load management. Just, you haven't traded me, I'm not playing. I'm refusing to play until I'm at another team.
Look, it only takes one, right? But I don't think Zach Merritt's that guy. I don't think Zach Merritt's that guy in particular, but I also wouldn't see Rowan Marshall doing that. I wouldn't see who the others that have missed out on their deals.
I reckon it won't happen next year. Merritt will play on and go all right, but
Jez just mentioned that it's going to be one awkward return for Zachy Boy. Look, I think what he did very, very well was the way he spoke during the club's BNF. He spoke about, essentially along the lines of, I'm here, I'm in 100%. Like, he set the foundations for a smooth return if this happened. Of course, he wanted out. Everyone knew he wanted out, but he set himself up really well in the event that he did return to the Essendon Football Club. So, and I don't think... Oh, geez, I don't know. The Essendon supporters, I don't think they're that much better behaved than Carlton supporters half the time, to be honest. So I don't actually know really where I'm going or how they're going to respond, how they'll treat him. Are they going to just double down and be even more enthusiastic and even more supportive to try and keep him around beyond just this year, so that they don't find themselves in the same situation in 12 months?
Well,
I don't know.
That depends. That depends on on-field success, I guess.
Yeah.
If they're winning and make finals, they probably wouldn't care anymore. I guess what happened with Merritt, and then he might stay after that. Oh, I think he's contracted anyway, so he might just play on after that. But that depends for the next 12 months.
Shadu suggests that we've now got all the picks we need for Butters next year.
Butters.
Do we?
I
don't know. Like, we're obviously, we've got our first for 2026 available. That's sure, no worries. We didn't have to give that up in any of these transactions since they didn't happen. We'll have 2027 picks, but honestly, no club in their right mind is going to want 2027 picks because that first round is going to be blown to bits by Tasmania, assuming they get their stadium and everything goes ahead. Might be a different story if suddenly clubs find out during the course of the 2026 that this thing's not running to schedule or it's not happening at all. Then all of a sudden, there's suddenly value to those picks. But I think that's why we saw very, very limited trades around 2027 picks this year. Firstly, it's the first time that you could trade 2 years in advance, so I think there's a bit of caution, a bit of hesitation anyway. But then on top of that, the fact that first round in particular is going to be so heavily compromised. I know some of those, I can't remember how many it was, but like Tasmania had a whole bunch, and then within those, some of them had to be traded to other clubs.
Yeah, they've got like picks 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, and like I think 3, 7, 9, and 11 have to be traded or something.
Yeah, something like that. So they can get some absolute top end talent, but they also can use those picks to go pry out players. The thing that is really interesting to me there is like how many of these can they get, because we're now talking about like if you want to go and pry out a rock star. Jeremy Cameron 3 picks, Charlie Curnow 3 picks and a player. Essendon wanted 4. The word is, if you I don't know how much you were listening to the trade radio stuff towards the end there, but when
they wanted
Damien
4.
Barrett got that text, they were talking about 4 first round selections to get the deal done. Like the premium that you now have to pay to go and pry out an absolute rock star from another club who's still in contract, it's getting wild.
I think this year we saw a shift in
Ben's just got to drop that graphic on the
Reece Stanley. But this year we did see a dramatic change in clubs. I don't know what the draft's going to be like this year. People are saying it's like the worst ever or something. I don't know. So we saw a real
they
shift.
said this year's not meant to be super strong, but that next year is meant to be a really good one.
Okay. So we did see a bit of a swing in terms of clubs wanting like player for player trades instead of just draft picks. I know there was the Kerno deal did involve mostly draft picks, but there was a player involved. Usually there isn't. So there was a real shift in, players wanting, clubs wanting players instead of just picks now.
I mean, it's known commodities. Like it kind of makes sense to get a little bit of that now because these guys are known commodities versus the unknowns of a draft, let alone the unknowns of a draft 2 years from now that's going to be compromised into oblivion. And even players from this draft, which is also going to be heavily compromised because of all the father sons and the academy picks and all the bids and the
draft
changes to the system next year will make a big difference. The next year's change will be huge.
It needs to be.
It'd be good. I'm glad that they're doing it. But Brendan asked, round 1, 2026, which St Kilda ruckman takes the centre throw up, which also it's going to take some adjusting to. The centre throw up, not the centre bounce.
That's going to look really weird in like their average time on the ground. Because I remember looking at Brad Otton's like stats when we would play Brad Otton's with 2 ruckmen, and his stats in games are always really good. And the maximum
he was
amount
a
of time,
pretty damn good forward at the same time.
He was, and the maximum time he spent on the field was like he was averaging, I reckon, in like 2007 to 9. Like I don't really remember, but on his stats, it was averaging like 55% game time on the field.
Yeah.
Just wasn't really playing that much time on the field and was just really good. If that's what they'll do with Marshall and TDK, I don't know, but yeah, I don't know how that's going to work there. I think we did enough for Marshall, it just didn't happen in the end. I still see the potential though in Kerno and Mitch Edwards.
Oh, Conway. Yep.
Conway.
Yeah, I agree. In case of both, it's really just about their bodies. But Conway in particular, because he's got the actual physical frame already good to go. I think Mitch Edwards still needs to. He's developing very nicely for where he's at his age and stage, but he would still need more time. Even if his body comes good, like he's just going to need to continue to bulk up, another preseason, all of that sort of stuff. Toby Conway's body, for the most part, is now good to go. It's just
that foot fracture.
It's just the actual injuries continue to be the obstacle. So, but I guess to the comment from earlier, and Ben has also provided me another graphic in the back end there that we'll talk about Paddy Rechko in a little while, as one trade that did involve the Cats that did actually occur, and I guess kind of how or why that is what it is. But oh damn it, I've already got myself lost now. I already forgot where I was going. All right, let's just talk about Paddy Rechko. The idea will come back to me. So he's joined the Richmond Tigers. Obviously, there was a lot of buzz in our Discord there when it first popped off because everyone's going, didn't we delist him? The thing that I stress, like, you can, like, it's essentially an intent to delist. You're still on the books until, what is it, like October 31st, or, like after today. And then I think the reason why this came about, as opposed to any drafting situations, is clearly Richmond was keen on the guy and they didn't want to take the risk on the draft. They didn't want to take the risk on the preseason draft or the rookie draft or any of those sorts of things. And Geelong was going to take peanuts for it because we've already committed to delisting it. So pick 99 as it is makes all the sense in the world. So that's kind of how we ended up making that transaction. I doubt we'll use 99 in any capacity, but here we are. What do you think?
What do you think was the deal with us delisting him? Because he had a good year in the VFL. I'm not really sure.
Problem is, you've still got to delist. You got to offload 3 players every year.
Still do,
And
but
so Mitch Duncan was one, obviously, and then we had to find 2 others. Now, I would argue, like, Ivicic, I get it. I don't love it. Like, it's not like he's had much of a chance, but I get it. I guess the perception around Rechko is that there was just so many in the queue ahead of him that it's not that you're not up to it, but we rate Ted Closey above you. We rate George Stevens above you.
they're still around.
Yeah, and but they are still unsigned now. So you'd imagine they will stay on the books at this point because we've freed up those 3 spots. What are, and I'm going to have to bring up something like Zero Hanger or something here to look at the draft order as things stand. Club picks. I'm going to have to just check to see if this is up to date. No, it's not because it still has Sydney with pick 11. If someone has a link out there that actually highlights the draft order now that all this is done, that'd be super helpful. Drop it in the chat. But I guess we don't necessarily need to delist anymore, but depending on, I think we can probably get a rough indication as to what the club plans to do based on what picks they've got left. We've obviously got pick 19. We'll use it. I could see us using the first 3. Our next one's going to be about 40-ish. That's probably where, oh my God. I haven't talked footy in like 2 weeks and all of a sudden my names are disappearing from me.
40 still a bit early.
But our NGA pick, who's completely escaping me right now.
Jesse Mello. He's a good.
Jesse Mello's going to pop up in there, and of course, at the talk at the moment is that like all the Phantom drafts and those sort of things, he doesn't feature in that top 40. So should be in theory right there and ready for us to scoop up. But then, do we do any more than that? Do we just take 2 and that's it? It'll be a really,
I'd say that's it.
Really interesting one.
I'd say that's it. I think every year you have to make at least 6 list changes every year or something.
I thought it was 3 in, 3 out.
Oh, okay. Minimum might be 3. I'm not really sure. So we've done 3 already. We've sort of forgotten in the middle of all this the inclusion of James Warple.
I'm just skimming around. Yeah, of course, we've brought Warple in. So that's already one of our 3. That's already filled. You know, let's just say Mitch Duncan out, James Warple in.
Yeah.
So we can only pick up 2 in the draft at this point.
Chris, round 1.
Do we relegate someone? We've seen in recent years, and I guess a good example of this was it Jack Gunston that was even like he was rookied when he returned to Hawthorn.
He listed at the end of last year, and he came second.
And then he came back as a rookie, and then
that's crazy.
So but maybe that's the fate that someone like a Cam Guthrie faces. Like he's in a similar sort of spot where you're on the list, we're rookie listing you now, keeps you in the system. If you can get your body right, great. But then we free up spots on the main list to go to the draft. For Jesse Mellor, for someone pick 19, etc.
Got a comment here. It says round 1, better see Mitch Edwards in the ruck. Ooh.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. No. And that's not because he's not going to be up to it. I just think, he's not up to it for a full season. His body still needs to develop. If Toby Conway is fit, Toby Conway needs to be the one that's out there.
Yeah, if he's fit, he definitely needs to be the round 1 ruck. Have we considered sending Conway overseas or something for his foot injuries or something?
Hopefully. Shadoo's suggested also Ivan Soldo and Todd Goldstein as delisted free agents. They could come in the door. And maybe that's what the Cats are going to have to entertain at this point. Todd Goldstein's bloody older than Reece Stanley. But Soldo, maybe there's something to that. I remember all this fuss when he went over to Port Adelaide about like his partner and wanting to get back out of South Australia. Shout out to Kiri there in the chat. Yeah, you don't want to be in that dump. Let's see if he turns his camera on. There he is. I'll let you back in shortly, mate. But there's the shaking of the head. Poke the bear, got the reaction.
Good thing Lucas.
So, yeah, like maybe Soldo, that for whatever reason she wants to go back to Victoria. He follows along because it seems like he's just dagging off her everywhere. But it is a relationship through partnership. He comes back to Victoria, delisted free agent, joins the Cats, and he'd be solid enough. Like he's not what we're looking for. He's not Rowan Marshall. He's not some of these absolute top shelf ruckmen, but he would do the job.
In comparison to a Mitch Edwards, I guess. In terms of, don't forget, wait, what's this one?
Ben's dropping Simpsons references, but of course he's not actually highlighting why he's dropping, or he's a little bit behind. But yeah, it could be a Reece Stanley one, could be a Cam Guthrie one. It could be in reference to Todd Goldstein. You're in the system forever, forever. Just forever. So to drop another Simpsons reference in there forever.
Personally, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't get Ivan Soldo in. I think in comparison, he's just like the Mitch Edwards, and I think Mitch Edwards is sort of ready to be an AFL player. So personally, I wouldn't do it. No.
Do we? Geez, this is so far away, and there's so much that's going to evolve in the meantime. But assuming that Mitch Edwards doesn't suddenly become the Hulk in the off season, that Toby Conway's fitness is still up and down. Do we just go? Does it become Mark Blitzarves just as that fourth ruckman? Do we go, play it like it's 2013 where he's playing in the ruck, and we use that as a tactic, which carried us very, very well through the finals. Now, of course, Brisbane unraveled it in the grand final. They absolutely, when we went for that play in the final quarter, I hate speaking his name because he's still a dickhead off the back of the qualifying, but what Cam Rayner did, he played it perfectly. Like he burst off that square, knew exactly what they were going to do. Boom, took him out. Now that's not going to work most of the time, but I don't know. Do we go with Mark Blitzarves ahead of Reece Stanley, even if Reece Stanley is fit?
Well, I don't know why we've never considered playing Blitzarves in the ruck for a whole year. It does it well when he's there. I would, but I feel like it might be a bit late into Blitzarves' careers now just to play as a full-time ruck.
Ben's just finding any meme he sees on Twitter right now about football and sticking them up on the screen. A reminder, everyone, I'm not on the graphics for the most part at the moment. It's all Ben Reeves just pottering around in the background.
Simpsons does have like a good reference for sort of like every.
Oh, they've got something for everything.
So it is a smart move.
5 million episodes, you're bound to get a few things right.
Definitely. I believe the Simpsons did a prediction that Zach Merritt would not be traded to Hawthorn, so they got that right. That was a good episode. But no, I feel like it's a bit late into Blitzarves' career now just to play full time in the ruck. And then potentially, if Stewart didn't go down in the prelim, and
there's a lot of what ifs. It could have been a different story altogether.
Stanley probably wouldn't have played, and they would have done Blitzarves, but we probably still don't win that, I guess. But I don't know.
We had too many passages on the day, so it's actually really hard to get a read on the whole thing because so many blokes didn't rock up that day.
No, definitely.
Brenton asks, and this is because who knows, this will be probably the last stream that we do until draft night, and then we'll get into some video game streams off the back of that. He asks about old mate TB. To be clear, everything's still going through the system at the moment, so we just will let that play out. But if it is as is reported, that there's no cases to answer, and again, alleged, and what ifs, and is it this bloke? I'm not going anywhere near it. But if he's available, he's a starting 23 player, I would have thought. Presumably, he's got himself pretty fit and pretty jacked in the off season. Presumably,
I guess he's definitely just.
And it's a great thing for depth and options, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, look out! None of this shit. No. We don't
need to go.
But also, feel free to jump in. Would be actually be keen to hear your thoughts because I know that you're always good for a very rational chat. So if you're keen, I know roaming's not a big fan right now, but You're always welcome. So QR's in the corner. Feel free to jump in, mate. We'd be keen to pick your brain a little bit about it.
Just by the way, Jake, can you answer the question why you traded your captain for a future third-round pick, but they're going to keep players on the list like Zach Jones and wanted us to give away a first-round pick and another future first for Rowan Marshall?
It is an interesting one in terms of optics. They've traded a captain who wanted to be there, and then refused to trade a ruckman who didn't want to be there.
Yeah,
so there are some very strange, just human logic things, setting aside football component of it. It's very strange, but at the same time, they're all chips in clearly.
Big day for Tom.
Is a very strange approach given their ladder position this year to just throw it all in for 2026, 2027. Because as Roaming says, where's the money coming from? You've paid Naz $2 million a season for 2 years. You've got Tom DeConing on 1.7. Jack Silvani was allegedly 900. Liam Ryan won't be super expensive, but won't be cheap either. You've now kept Rowan Marshall, who's at least on a decent packet, but of course it could have been front loaded, so he may not be on a hell of a lot right now. Maybe that's further part of the rationale where, well, we're not paying him much and we can try this 2 ruckman thing. And he's one that, we were talking about Brad Ottens before when Brad Ottens would go forward. He's one that can absolutely play that forward line role very well. And given that Max King, his body's been pretty rubbish the last few years, it is a safety blanket. Rowan Marshall doesn't want to play as a forward, but he's more than capable of it if he needs to. So I can see why they've done what they've done. Time will tell as to whether it was the... Thanks, Romy. Time will tell as to whether it is the right decision, just in terms of team balance, in terms of on-field success. But I can see why they've done it. And obviously us as Cats fans will be frustrated right now because we needed a ruckman. We had one that expressed they wanted to come to us, and we I don't think through any fault of our own in the end couldn't get the deal done. I think what we put forward, a bit like Hawthorn with Merritt, I think both clubs actually put forward pretty reasonable deals in the end, and the two just refused to take it. And this goes back to our conversation at the very, very beginning of all this, that maybe the clubs are starting to make a bit of a stand these days. Maybe they're starting to push back a little bit more.
Just on something on Merritt's manager, is it that Boyd Woodcock? Is that him?
Merritt's manager, Zach Merritt's manager. No, that was
screen. There was an image on the screen there. I don't think you saw it, but Zach Merritt's manager, yeah, that one.
That was Tom Petroro, wasn't it?
That's Zach Merritt's manager. Yeah.
Yeah, Tom Petroro is Zach Merritt. Yeah.
Yeah. It was kind of interesting because he said in an interview that Hawthorn gave him a good deal for a 30-year-old, for someone who's 30 and aging, but he probably told Hawthorn that Zach's got a good 6 to 7 more good years or something. So it's a bit of mix. That's a bit of mixed messaging there.
Brendan Durry, mate, no need to apologise. It's just one of those tricky topics still, with legal involved. And until this case is done, I'm just a little bit hesitant to acknowledge anything. But if he's available as a footballer, setting aside everything else, if he's available as a footballer, he's going to be a very handy addition to the list. Yeah. But yeah, to Ben obviously dropped the Crossley meme a moment ago, or post from the chaps from Southport. He is a pretty decent ruckman. We've seen him going around in the VFL and doing a pretty good job for a while. So to Jackie's point, well, sorry, no, actually, that's just naming him. But he's a pretty decent player. Maybe he's someone with a mature age ruckman that we go and get. Maybe and not the washed up variety like a Todd Goldstein, but one who's got some runs on the board.
Mid mature age recruit.
The next James Podsiadly.
Yeah, Sean Manor, James Podsiadly, these players who we've mature age who have dominated in the VFL is he potentially the next one?
Oh, Jackie's highlighting that these are all the things going on in the Discord right now. So they're bubbling into the stream. Jackie, tell Jake to jump in and he can share his thoughts along the way as well. It'd be good to have some presence from the chaps in here as well. Join the dinosaur ruck group. Let's at the same time we'll get three of us at the same time because I don't want to leave Kiri hanging in the wings for too long in silence. So I'll wait until I see signs of life that his camera pops on again. Oh, there he is. Let's get the three of us here waxing and we can kind of bring a new element to the conversation here. Firstly, how's things, mate? Sorry about the little drive by at the expense of South Australia before. It was just too easy an opportunity to pass up.
Oh, well, yeah, speaking of South Australia, I don't know if Lucas is going to hop on later on, but Redbacks aren't doing too well in the Sheffield Shield. But, yeah, no, we'll go and
whinge and bitch about that. Isn't he streaming on Twitter at the moment, Lucas?
Don't know if he's doing. He was at the match, but yeah, not sure about it.
He's got a space going at the moment. Oh wait,
but he's got something going on.
You're on it. Yeah, okay.
But yeah, look, I'll watch the deadline day. 3 hours, I'm not going to get back. I was really confident.
No, for nothing.
I was really confident we were going to get this deal done. Because obviously we had Jeremy Cameron and Bailey Smith down to the wire, and I thought, oh, here we go. Andrew Mackie is walking back to the rooms. He's looking confident, and all
the body language looked good.
Yeah, it looked good,
pleased.
didn't it? But yeah, no deal, eh? Oh, bloody hell. We go with how old's Reece Stanley next year? 36 years old. Bloody Toby Conway, God knows what he's gonna be. Hopefully he gets his body right. I think we're gonna have to use Mark Blitzarves quite a bit, and I'm really worried about that. I feel like unless we pick someone up like what you mentioned, a Todd Goldstein or a
Braden Crossley or Ivan Soldo, or
we're going to burn Blitzarves to the ground, unfortunately, and I'm not going to be happy about that.
Keep going, mate. I've just seen in the Discord it's been posted that the AFL has now updated the current draft order, so we can kind of.
Have we ever had a year where Blitzarves was like the full-time ruck, or just had a majority of games in ruck?
Oh, hang on. Don't tell me that. Surely that's an edit. Ben posting that one. Surely AFL Trade Radio didn't actually post that for a laugh. Surely not. I'm taking a look now. They can't have. No way. Yeah, no, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything. No,
Get him next year for a future fourth.
Ben's just screwing around there. But I mean, it's also a distinct possibility. Like, and I know they're not comparable players, but you look at what happened to Clayton Oliver and his value from last year to this year. He's played better football this year than he did last year, and he's gone from being a first-round pick to, what was it, a future third?
That's correct.
Last 2 years,
and I'll be honest, I don't think the TDK and Rowan Marshall combo is going to work next year. I think they can't play in the forward line.
You think it's going to be like Gawn and
like what Shadoo said. I'll give credit to Shadoo. I reckon it's going to be like Max Gawn and Brodie Grundy in Melbourne a couple of years back. Like, I don't think it's going to work out. There's a reason why Rowan Marshall wanted to leave the club, and it's not going to work. I don't think it is, because there's no way you're going to bring a player like Tom DeConing for nearly $2 million and not put him as the number one ruck. Like,
he will come in and be the number one ruck. Marshall's going to have to play around him, and then I genuinely think that and Max King's obviously had a pretty torrid last couple of years with his fitness. If he gets banged up or he gets injured again, Todd Marshall just becomes a permanent forward for him for the year, which probably makes him more and more disgruntled. He might be successful in the role, but I think that'll frustrate him even more because he has expressed
100%.
And this is well before the trade period, well before he got linked to Geelong. Like, this has been years and years of conversation. He doesn't want to play in that role.
And yeah, Max King and Marshall, they're just gonna if they both play, they're pretty much like the same. Marshall's just a bit taller, but they're pretty much like the same sort of size. They're just gonna just run into each other. Like,
No, I think King is your. Well, when he's fit, I think he wants to play more like that athletic Jeremy Cameron style role.
yeah,
And Marshall, honestly, if he goes there, he probably plays almost your Tom Hawkins sort of role. Like you're probably setting yourself up for, like, if they were fit, if they both happen to be playing out of the forward line, I think there's some similarities there. Marshall's obviously more athletic than Tom Hawkins, and he's not the same level of brute that Tom Hawkins was, but he does have that physical size, just that ruckman figure, right? He could throw a few people around and use that strength. The reality is he just doesn't want to be there though. At the club, as we've now learnt, but also he doesn't want to be in that part of the ground either. So it's Brenton says that Grime Myers can ruck. So there we go. Geez, I'm glad I'm glad his name got shut down very, very quickly. I had to explain to my son a couple of days ago when it's like, no, I don't think Charlie is going to be happening, mate. And he goes, oh, why?
No,
because
that was never going to happen.
His experience with the Cats is that, and he's 7 years old now, so he hasn't seen them a lot, obviously, but his experience with the Cats and thinking about Bailey Smith last year, he goes, this, like, it just kind of happens. Like, a player wants to come to Geelong, they come to Geelong. So then I had to explain to him the other night that, Charlie Curnow's probably not going to come to the Cats. And he goes, oh, why is that? Now I've obviously told the Brian Myers story involving my son plenty of times, so I won't repeat it for everyone now. But he, like I said, Carlton wanted Brian Myers as one of different players that might have possibly gone to Carlton for it. And at that point he completely lost sight of the fact that I said it's not happening, and just exploded into tears about the idea of Brian Myers leaving the club. I was like, no, fuck it. They can send him to Sydney. I don't care. I can't have this. If there's even a slim chance that Brian's gone, I can't have this. Set aside that he's brilliant and obviously a hugely valuable asset to us. My home life, I couldn't look my son in the eye for weeks if Brian left.
Why do the Swans every decade do get a major key forward though? Started off with, they had Warwick Kappa, who they recruited, and then became Tony Lockett, then Barry Hall, and then Buddy. And they go Kurt Tippett. You could add into that as well.
I would say
that was a massive fallout here. I remember. Gee whiz!
The post. Ben's even dropping a few little graphics in on the side, like he's working on.
Oh, come on, Baz! Gee.
There'll be an article in the Herald Sun soon about it.
Yeah, the Bailey Smith wants to be traded to Sydney.
Yeah.
Well, they're business partners with the drink, aren't they?
Yeah,
with Baz's drink.
Yeah, with Barry. Yeah. I mean, good luck to Charlie Curnow. But I mean, to that point, like, how many have actually been successful for the Swans? Like,
yeah, which I'll tell you what, boys.
With Barry Hall, and I'm not going to count Kurt Tippett in there because he's just not prominent at all. Like Lockett, like Kappa, like Hall, like now Charlie Curnow, like Buddy. Sorry, I've just completely forgot Buddy for a second there. Like, it didn't bring him any premiership success in any of those cases. So,
I'll tell you what. This might be a big call here, but I think the Curnow trade will probably end up like when Brendan Favola went to the Brisbane Lions in 2010. Ooh. I don't reckon it'll work out. Like,
he's going to blow.
It might not be as crazy as it is, but
casino as well.
I don't think it's going to live up to the hype because Curnow will be approaching 30. Yeah, I can't see him kicking 70 goals. I can't. So. I don't know. I think his peak was in 2022 and 2023. We haven't seen much of it in the last couple of years.
We're all saying before
that's why I'm happy we didn't get Curnow. I honestly think we dodged a bullet with him. I think there's going to be a downfall coming. The fact that they lost some fringe players as well, the Swans as well.
I don't think we dodged a bullet, and I think for Sydney it is a net gain still. Because Sydney obviously desperately needs a prominent key forward, right? And they do have some fantastic midfielders who the thing that, and obviously there's so much documentation around it from past post-game lives and Paul James shows. So I'm not going to try and rewrite history here. I dunked on Charlie Curnow so much and went right into the free kick count that skewed his goals and all that sort of stuff. But what I kind of came around on a little bit late in the piece, and it was actually listening to the likes of Scotty when he popped in, and some of the others. What was pointed out to me is, yes, he definitely gets a few from free kicks, whether they're there or not. But he was also kicking still a lot of goals with a bunch of blokes who just hack that ball inside 50. It's not Cripper's strength, for as brilliant as he is. It's not even really Sam Walsh's strength. And then the other blokes just, butcher that ball. He was kicking 70 goals a year and was getting absolutely dog shit service. Now he goes to Sydney, or he potentially went to Geelong, where he's going to get, obviously, Bailey Smith, his greatest strength isn't necessarily lacing someone out, but there are absolutely phenomenal kicks in there. You're talking about your likes of Brian Myers. You're talking about your Sean Manners. You are talking about a Max Holmes can get on a run and then completely break the game open. Again, it's not his absolute greatest strength. He's better than Bailey Smith at it, but it's not his absolute greatest strength. But because he breaks the game open, he then makes it a lot easier for that key forward as well. He's going to get this amazing service that he hasn't had the last few years. And while I don't think he's going to be that 70 goal kicker, he could, because he's been playing on the field the size of a postage stamp. But I'd expect his goal tally to start ticking back upwards again. Don't count this year. Obviously, he was injured, missed a lot of football. But I'd imagine his goals per game is going to start creeping up again. But there you go. You needed to like add into the graphic some sort of pokey machine, because that's where all the money went.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think there's that to it. Like, I think he's been let down, I think, by his midfield for a long, long time. And, probably that half forward line who can't deliver to him either. That all said, I'm happy to invest in Shannon Neal. I'm happy to let that talent around, and Jacob Mollier continue to develop, to see a Jay Polkinghorn come through, get some opportunities, Ollie Henry to return. At some point, we'll definitely have to talk, not necessarily tonight, but maybe in like a future stream where we talk a little bit about how Danger gets used. I'm firmly of the mind that next year he plays the Joel Selwood in 2022 role, which is off the bench, and he comes in to have effect, but not to play large minutes. And obviously now that we have 5 on the bench and no sub, you can really lean into that. And with him gone, I still will continue to say that he was the biggest obstacle for Ollie Henry this year. The way he just destroyed the structure of the forward line at times, resulting in grand final injuries. He caused a lot of problems for a lot of people in the forward line. And if he's kind of coming off the bench, he can play a midfield role. Play 50% game time, bursting off the bench and just having explosive 5 minutes, and then go and sit down again. I think that could work way better for our midfield blend, strengthen that up, because it is still a potential weakness. And if our ruckman is being beaten, he can get in there and just bash and crash a few people around, even if we lose the ball up, the throw up, whatever we're going to call it.
I think we'll see his game time drop dramatically a lot next year, around like 60 to 65%.
Yeah, I'd agree. But if we can get him to the midfield, I think that's the thing that helps the forward line personally. And then that'll get Ollie back into the game in a big way.
Yeah. I'm seeing on the chat some people saying, what about putting Ollie Henry down back?
Does he have that sort of accountability in him?
I know a couple of times this year he was thrown behind the ball, but he's just got to use his body. He just needs to get physical, Ollie. That's just one of the most frustrating things. He has the tools to be a great football player, but he just doesn't like the contact, and that's just what fell him out of the favor out of the team this year. That's what happened when he was at Collingwood as well. So I think we need to send a rocket up Ollie's backside. Otherwise, I don't know what else, man. Even on the wing, try him on the wing. I know Shadu said that as well. He's been on the wing a couple of times. So
I mean, look,
it's all down to him at the end of the day.
I think he came pretty close towards the end of the season. Whether I don't mean close necessarily to getting a recall, but close to kind of finding what he needed again late in the season. We could, if you go back and look at some of those VFL numbers, there was a 2 goals 4 in there. There was some small little bags. Like, okay, here he is. He's starting to get his tail back up again. And obviously, I think if that had been 4 goals 2, if that had been 5 goals 1, God, if he kicked 6 straight in that particular game, maybe the conversation actually would have very quickly shifted to, geez, he's back in the frame now. So there's swings and roundabouts and what ifs and all those sorts of things. He could have come pretty bloody close. I'm just going to quickly project on the screen while we're chatting here, as was referenced before, the draft selections as they currently stand. So Geelong picked 1940. I think that's obviously your first round draft pick, and then Mollier is probably 40. But depending on how things are going, because a lot of these picks are going to be pretty heavily compromised by your not your free agents, your father sons and your academy picks. Pick 40 is actually going to come in quite a bit. 19 will push out, but 40 will probably come in a bit because picks are going to get soaked up to match bids. So 40 might well come in. 60 will come in quite a bit. Yeah, maybe I could see these first 3 potentially being used, and after that, I don't know. We don't have to bid on anyone. I'm not sure if 78, 90. I mean, I certainly don't see 96, 99, and 114 being.
We'll find another Lawson Humphreys in there somewhere. You think?
I could see those first 4, maybe in the best case scenario. I could see those first 4 being used, and then I could see passes coming for the remaining 3. That'd be my thought, especially in what's considered to be a weaker draft this year. Shadu says, Hunter Holmes, please. Hunter Holmes hasn't been, again, going back to some of these phantom drafts and those things, Hunter Holmes hasn't been popping up. So there is the opportunity to pick up someone like a Hunter Holmes later in the draft.
Hunter Holmes, the new Zach Guthrie.
Fingers crossed.
What about the Falcons boy? I forgot his name.
So you're talking about Jesse Mellor?
Yeah.
So I would imagine Jesse's that pick 40 or pick 60 and whatever they ultimately become.
Yeah.
He's not been featuring in the top 30s and 40s for the phantom drafts. So there's a possibility that maybe you could scoop him with a pick 60 that, oh, sorry, geez, my whole just went to shit there. With a pick 60 that then comes right in. But we'll see. Because then, after that, I mean, who knows? Like, who knows what 78 comes into? Like, that is, again, that's another one that's going to come in. If we start looking at some of these, some of this draft order, firstly, how, gross. 2 to West Coast, 2 to Richmond, 2 to Essendon, 2 to Melbourne. And I know this won't end up being the case because Brisbane and Gold Coast are going to pop in there for their academy selections that they'll have to match. Like Gold Coast pick 15 will disappear to get I've forgotten his name now. Dan Annable. No, is Dan Annable the Gold Coast one? Or was he the Brisbane Academy pick? I can't remember. But that'll get soaked up. So they'll pop up into the first bit, but they're going to have pick 15 and then bundle up picks from later on. Pick 24 probably gets used. Some of these picks start to disappear. Pick 36 I'm looking at as we go through 28, 29. Like these will very quickly disappear to match a pick that's going to come in the top 3 or 4 selections. Brisbane will be in the similar sort of position, which is why they've got so many in this block, 23 through 68, because they'll just disappear for their NGA bids. Whereas for us, Jesse Mellor, we probably maybe we have to match a bid and it'll just be something in the same round and that's it, job done. Or maybe it's, maybe something creeps up and becomes you pick 40 and pick 96, 99 just to get the equity in terms of the points. But yeah, that's really it'll mess around this because right now it does look like you got 4 teams with the first 8 picks, but then it's really going to complicate things as you get later on because a lot of these will just dissolve and teams will start moving up pretty quickly from there. Yeah, pick 40 with what we're seeing of Gold Coast in particular, Gold Coast again. Some of these, not all of them, but some of these I'd imagine disappear instantly to get their NGA. And we'll just shuffle up, 4, 5, 6 spots. And so maybe, given the talk that Jesse Mellor is not your top 40 player right now, maybe we're making a different selection here, and then it's what happens with pick 60 because Brisbane's dissolving. Brisbane's will dissolve. Probably that one as well. Like all these disappear and suddenly you start piling up. Let alone other. Again, we've got father sons that we haven't discussed. Carlton will have to bid for what's his name, Harry Dean. So we'll go shuffling up. I think that pick 60 is actually not a bad spot to go chasing Jesse Mellor in the end because it won't be 60. Oh, so Shadoo's clarified. Annabelle was Brisbane, so I've below if I know who the Gold Coast one was off the top of my head then. But Gold Coast NGA 2025. Who we got?
See Darren Gilmore. He said Brisbane already have an Academy Award winner, Cam Rayner.
Very true.
Oh, that's good. That's good, mate.
Now, sorry, what did you say? Brisbane already have an Academy Award winner, Cam Rayner. Very nice. I can't bloody find the.
And somehow he's a 2-time premiership player. Fucking hell.
Opening round next year.
It's going to be at the Gabba, eh?
It probably will be against the Lions. We got to do an 89 grand final reenactment on the Cam Rayner. Someone just run up and just get some toughness into him.
Zeke Euland. Zeke Euland is the Gold Coast Academy player I've been trying to think of, who is currently, based on the latest version of Kel Toomeys, who's, I'll back him in. The last few years, he's got in the top 10 on the money. He's got him ranked second in the draft right now. So if someone makes a bid on him with pick 2, that's going to consume a lot of that draft capital for Gold Coast. And then Brisbane's, where's Dan Admiral? He's ranked pick 5 in that draft. So something to kind of keep in mind in terms of some of our future selections anyway. And Jackie says what I always say: their clubs better bid. If those guys are being ranked in the top 5, I hope that Kel Toomey is wrong and the West Coast with pick 1 makes a bid on Dan Admiral and with pick 2 makes a bid on Zeke Euland and just flushes all these out and makes these teams who are already now at the pointy end of the ladder. Brisbane having won the last 2 premierships, Gold Coast certainly stacking the deck now, such that they can try and do the same thing. Like they need to make them pay the absolute premium. Ben, I know you're still buzzing around here in the background. I've said this before on stream. Get me Kel Toomey, please. I want to talk to him again. And I want to ask him why this sort of shit why this keeps happening, why they just don't bid. But anyway. But what else do you guys want to bring to the table? We've got Horatio sitting there in the background too, so I might pull him in soon. Just looks like he's ready and raring to go in the background. I see a little head shake, so I think we're good there. But Kiri, anything else that you wanted to highlight or discuss from tonight?
Yeah, well, this was yesterday's news, but very wrapped. I'm getting Nathan Buckley to the category. I haven't watched your video yet, but I think it's a great
I hope you enjoy
addition.
the first 5 seconds. I hope you really enjoy the first 5 seconds of it.
Yeah, but
did anyone see it?
yeah,
Sorry, but Cold Rock posted Cold Rock Geelong posted an AI image of Bucks doing work there under the soft cap.
Everyone's leaning into it. By the way, actually, just scrolling through Kel Toomey's thing, Harry Dean's ranked pick 8, so that's going to be a Carlton bid, and that's going to soak up some selections as well, unless he slips to their first selection, of course. But yeah, no, I think the Bucks thing's great. I think he's going to add a lot. Of course, there's going to be plenty of people making jokes. It's just another bloke coming to Geelong that doesn't know how to win a premiership, and those people can get fucked. Simply put. But no, it's going to be huge. I think the big question for me is, timeline. How long do we have him for? If you note the actual article that was published says that he joins the Cats for 2026, and they just they definitively put a year on it, as opposed to just letting it roll.
You can tell Bucks is very keen on it. He'll do. Just like all the other coaches, he'll do whatever it takes. He'll add insight if there's anything in
absolutely
game plan or selection.
I
want
reckon,
to
I
add in
reckon he'll do
his
a couple of
opinion.
years. Yeah, he'll do a couple of years, 2-year, just to get back into the club sort of environment. And I think he's going to take the Tassie job at the end as well. So just to get back to the club, just to get back all familiar, because obviously he's been in the media for the last few years now. But yeah, let's just get the best out of him as well. He's going to get the best out of our midfield playing group. Gee whiz, but yeah, we need a flag or two out of him.
I mean, it'd be nice for him to finally win one, right? In some capacity.
Well, you know, he was part of the Collingwood premiership team in 2010 as assistant coach. But yeah,
he can still add a lot in terms of just shifts to the game plan or player movements or something.
100%.
I think he'll work a lot with the midfield group, definitely. I think
it's going to be great.
His title is assistant coach and like midfield coach specifically.
Sorry, I've been so caught up now in all these academy picks and what it's doing to the draft. I just spotted another one for Gold Coast that's ranked in the top 4 as well. Top, half a dozen academy players. Dylan Patterson is the other one. So that's why they're so stacked with selections in that 20s, 30s, because they're going to have to use them all. And I can't wait next year to get a scenario where the bidding system's just going to change significantly. Like the amount that you're going to pay to match a bid is going to go way up. So
it's not going to be for like another 5 years until the draft is just normal again.
And I mean, yeah, obviously there's Ben, do the work. Stop making fucking memes. Or we don't get people for behind the play. It's because you're not emailing them, dickhead. Anyway. If you can't do it, tell me and I'll do it myself. Anyway.
Now, hasn't Cal Toomey been on your show?
There's a lot of love there between us, but geez, we'll rip strips off each other whenever we get the chance.
Cal Toomey has been on your show before.
He was on Behind the Play, years and a couple of years ago now. But it's been a real bugbear ever since that I want to ask him about why this kind of draft etiquette has been going on. I could maybe give a club a pass if they're they've got pick 1 and they go, no, we want to, this is the guy we want. We want to send that message. But then why pick 2, pick 3 aren't just consumed by all of these guys? I get that it's ugly optically, but we're in a competitive industry. So if West Coast chooses this year, considering they do have pick 1 to go, pick up your Willem Dersma or your Cooper Duff Tyler, whichever choice they go with. And then with pick 2, go, all right, we're bidding for Zeke Uland. Flush out all the Gold Coast picks. Next, we're going for Dylan Patterson. Flush out the rest of the Gold Coast picks. Now we're going to go for Dan Annable. Flush out all the Brisbane picks. And then go, okay, now we'll pick up Cooper Duff Tyler. I know it optically it looks ugly, and I get it. And it takes away maybe the theatre of the night a little bit. But this is a competitive industry. And actually, I don't mind some theatre because maybe if you're West Coast and you go, if we put the squeeze on them by flushing all these out, maybe one of them goes, that's a price we can't pay. And suddenly you get yourself this rock star talent in the door. I wish we were more competitive in the draft. No, I want to ask Cal about all that stuff. Ben, don't ask him now, of course. Cal's actually working the draft right now, but just because I noticed he's disappeared from the back end. Maybe I upset him. Or he's actually getting to work for a change. But anyway, I want to talk about it. Darren says Bucks will look good in a Geelong police top. Flash says
I think you meant polo top.
Let's lean into it. You're right, but let's lean into the police thing. Yeah, Buck's the cop. He's just going to kick a few people's asses around the ground. But yeah, he did correct himself. Polo top. Jackie
The
says,
buck
imagine the
stops
drama.
here.
TV would be great. Yeah, there you go. Jackie's of the same mind. It's good popcorn stuff if you get these bids coming in and all of a sudden teams scrambling to match a bid at a level that they didn't think they were going to have to. Maybe someone else falls out as a result. Someone else, because there are. If I quickly scroll down through this list, there was another one that I saw. Max King's a Sydney ally, like a Sydney one. But imagine there was another one a bit further down. Like Gold Coast had this last year where they picked up, I think it was like Ethan Reed, and they picked him up a little bit later in the first round. If they've been forced to expend all of their points to match a pick 1 or pick 2 bid, and they suddenly don't have enough to Ethan Reed, then all of a sudden a club can go, they can't match it if we go right now. Let's pick up this gun forward ruckman. Like, it really adds a bit of spice to it. I think it's really cool. Jackie said it's popcorn when Geelong did it to Carlton. And we are a club that does it. It's just a shame that we don't feature in the top 5 picks of the draft, ever.
Oh, yeah. If last year
it's a shame, and it's not at the same time, of course.
I could definitely imagine with the Ashcroft brothers doing that, just picking them up, and then they'd frantically have to bid.
I mean, they were Geelong supporters as kids. Imagine if. If.
Chris Scott's their godfather.
Yeah.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's why there's why we even see that footage. I mean, obviously he was already close to the Ashcroft family, but yeah, he is actually the godfather. So the godfather. Ben, there's a graphic for you. Chris Scott is the godfather. Get an AI image of that.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah, far out.
Horatio, give me the thumbs up off camera if you're good to go. We'll bring you in and we'll get the conversation going. How's things, mate?
Yeah, pretty good.
What's on your mind off the back of what we've seen tonight?
Yeah, pretty. It ended up being quite interesting, really. Like, all the talk before the draft seemed to be, like, the players have got all the power and stuff like that. And it's like, well, you're about to find out that that's not the case. Like, players can ask to be traded all they want, but at the end of the day, if you're contracted, you've got to pay overs to get them in. And this guy, I think there's always that thing that goes around, and you hear and a lot of people talking about it's like, oh well, what would you want? Why would you want to keep a guy that doesn't want to be at your club club? But and the assumption that somehow that player is going to act in bad faith. But I'm like, well, look at what happened with when Tim Kelly's missus wanted out of Geelong, and at the end of the first year he's like, can you trade me? And we're like, no, you got another year in your contract, we drafted you, we're keeping you unless they and it's like,
unless they pay overs, and then the next year they paid overs, and we got Jeremy Cameron out of it.
Well, I mean, the thing is, okay, it's maybe slightly different in the sense that he didn't want to leave the club, she wanted to leave Geelong, and all of us that are in relationships know how that works. But he still played a good year of footy for us. He finished in the top 5 in the Brownlow, second in the best and fairest, stuff like that. So,
Hasn't been the same since.
Well, he doesn't look happy over there now, does he? Like I'm watching the few West Coast games I happen to catch a bit of this year. He doesn't look like he's enjoying his footy at all.
Bank account says otherwise, but
I think it's I don't know, it was there was a couple of games there I thought it's a bit sad really, because I feel a bit sorry for him, because as I was at pains to say to people at the time, it's like, look, there's a bit of vitriol there and stuff like that. It's like, look, he's actually said, if it was up to me, I would have signed. I would have extended ages ago. But it's I've got other things that I have to think about here, and it might work in principle, initially, But after a while, you go to a club like ours, to a club that was sliding backwards like the Eagles. And I can't imagine that if you're with somebody who clearly, isn't. I think that was the thing that annoyed me with him. I don't want to dwell on him too much, but the thing that annoyed me with him was just, she clearly didn't respect how hard he'd worked to get himself to the position he was in as a player.
Absolutely.
So no wonder he's miserable there. But, as far I see him as a bit of an example of a guy who not only did we not trade him as soon as he asked, and he had a great year for us and actually pushed his value up. He's now gone to another club
pretty close to
and he's going backwards. And he's going backwards. And doesn't look a happy boy at all. So,
nah.
I think the thing particularly with Merritt and watching the trade radio, the video of his manager, trudging the halls all day. It's like, and I was talking about this on Discord earlier. Didn't Luke Ball when him and Rossi was sort of, had their little, sort of fell out of love with each other, and Luke Ball pretty much at the end of 2009 said, "Trade me to Collingwood, or I'm not going to play. Like I'm not playing for Gilda again." So they basically had to almost give him away.
They lost him
because
for nothing.
He was just like, I'm not playing for you. I'm not playing for you again. I don't care. I don't care whether you try to.
Final best player till half time.
And that's going to be the same with Calamachi. Now he wants to go to the Adelaide Pros. He's going to go to the pre-season draft. Brisbane are going to lose him for nothing now.
Yeah, I don't mind a bit of scorched earth stuff sometimes. Now I think we probably needed to see some more aggressive players. In terms of your Marshalls and Merritts and those sorts of guys who didn't get transacted on the end, the absolute top tier. Not off their, haven't fallen off their perch. Like Luke Ball was definitely on the downhill in terms of his career. I wish we saw a bit more scorched earth there. But then some of these other players, Kalachi's not bad. Not a bad example. I don't know. It's ridiculous, and it's pathetic by Brisbane.
If Rossi had given Luke Ball a fair crack in the 2009 grand final, they would have won that game. If you look at the plus minus or when he was on the ground compared to when he was off the ground, they were beating us convincingly when he was actually on the paddock. And then, just because of this icy relationship that him and Ross the boss had, where Ross just wasn't going to budge on, I think you're finished. And and then when Ross is like, I might, and where Ross comes out and admits, I probably fucked that up, after the game, then, and I mean, he was in Collingwood's best players in 3 grand finals over the next couple of years. So, but I mean, nevertheless, like with Zach Merritt, I mean, the thing like with Merritt, for example, and I think, the Curnow deal got done in the end, but, I'm sort of questioning whether Sydney didn't pay a little too much.
They panicked and paid overs. Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Which is what I was hoping that we would not do, and we didn't, and I'm pleased with that. And same with Marshall. I'm glad that we didn't get FOMO and say, we've got to get the deal done.
So what would you have said was the right? What would you say would be the right balance deal? And I guess I'll ask that to everyone. We'll go one at a time here. But what do you all feel like would have been the right, reasonable balance deal? That let's just assume that we pitch the idea and St Kilda says yes. What would be that right deal? Do you think, Horatio?
Well, it's like firstly with Curto, the deal that we offered them, they made out like what we offered them was like we were trying to lowball them. It's like, no, that's what the best we can offer you. If you're not happy with that, fine. As long as we don't start then chasing the deal, that's that's fine. But we talked about this on here, a few times as things sort of started, during the final series, as things started to ramp up. And I don't think any of us really believed that we were going to find the capital to get Charlie to the club. Rowan Marshall, on the other hand, and I've been saying this for a while, I believe that Rowan Marshall, there was a deal made in principle. Quite like once St Kilda got the indication from TDK's management, yes, I'm coming. They've said to Rowan Marshall, whoever was running the show, has said to Rowan Marshall, mate, go and suss out your options, mate, because we're bringing this fella in. So hence when they played us down in Geelong, Rowan Marshall just happened to come down a day before his teammates to get a haircut. Now you're not coming down to Geelong for a haircut, obviously.
I saw it that day.
Right, yeah, but you're not going to do that the day before you're playing a team that you're thinking of going to next year, without your club knowing about it and being okay with it. There's no way that that's happening. So I believe that there was a deal in principle made that, hey, this is what we'll get something done when the time comes. But then all of a sudden Ross takes over the whole list and he's in charge of everything and says, no, well I don't want to do that deal now. And so I think that pretty much what was agreed on, that was reneged on, and and I think what we ended up offering them, the first rounder, second rounder, that's it. I don't think anything more than that. I don't think anything more than that was reasonable. Given, as I say, that I believe that there was a deal in principle, not quite a League level deal.
Yeah.
But, I believe that, that he was told, if you want to have a sniff around, by all means do so. And he did, sorted something out. Yeah, so. Can we get his brother as well?
Give him my farm.
Give me the Ashcrofts any day of the week. Bloody hell! Like at least they can win the hardball.
They're beasts. Kiri, what do you think the best, the right deal was? What would be in the deal that you think got the ball over the line, but at the same time wasn't excessive on the Geelong side?
I think I've said this on the Discord chat. I've said this on a number of Hoops Crew shows. You know where I'm going to go with this as well, but I genuinely thought Sam De Koning was going to be a saint in order for us to get Rowan Marshall to the category. Because what I believe in, if you want to get something, you're going to have to sacrifice something. That's what I thought. Because I thought Sam De Koning, could the Cats entertain the idea of De Koning to join to play with his brother and all of that, and I would have been fine with it. I think we've got plenty of stocks down in the back line. With Jake Kolajasny coming back, Connor O'Sullivan still developing. Zach Guthrie, all those sort of blokes. I was willing to sacrifice someone to get Rowan Marshall, because to me, in the off season, after watching that grand final, we needed a ruck. I'm glad we brought James Warple in for a bull in the inside, but gee whiz, we have to do something in the ruck department, and if by all means sacrificing someone currently on the playing list. If St Kilda, wanted to play like Sam De Koning, if I were Andrew Mackey, I'll shake the hands with Ross Lyon or whoever the list manager is. Done deal. Because to get Ollie, we got Ollie Henry in 2022 in a 3-team trade. Tom Mitchell went to Collingwood. Cooper Stevens went to Hawthorn. So that's what I believe in. And I don't know. I haven't seen Andrew Mackey's press conference after the trade period, but I know he's probably done the best that he could to get the deal over the line. But I feel like he was a bit too safe with a playing list, in my opinion.
Fair enough. Ben, what do you think was the deal that would have gotten the job done that you would be okay with?
I think there was a small % chance that this could have been a 3-way trade with Collingwood potentially, with Jordan De Goey going to St Kilda. Then we would give our first round picks to Collingwood or something, and then we get Marshall from St Kilda. But I think what we offered in the end was probably the right deal. I wouldn't necessarily want to give away Sam Koenig. He's just, I know we have like O'Sullivan is similar to him, but I feel still like De Koning's the main piece to the back line. He had a really good sort of end of season form. I thought what we offered was right, and particularly with Marshall, he probably only has like 4 years maximum playing, and I saw this year he was slowing down, so you maybe only get 2 like good years out of him, and then for the next 2 years or something, he just becomes he's just a Reece Stanley type in those last 2 years. But yeah, I still see really, I've said this a bit, but I still see a lot of potential and talent in Toby Conway and Mitch Edwards, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think the talent is there. And it's just in the case of Toby, it's just can his body get right? And I think in the case of Mitch Edwards, he probably needs 12 more months to just build that frame that bit more. He'll get a lot out of this coming preseason. And he'll come a long, long way, and he'll probably do a fantastic job in the VFL. I think the sample we've seen, especially towards the back end of the season, shows he's more than capable of it. But his body is not ready for the rigors of the AFL level, let alone doing it for the bulk of 23 games plus finals. So we really, I think, like whereas Toby Conway has got the physical attributes, he just needs his body to stop failing him. Inject calves blood into every part of his body, and let's just see what happens. So, I mean, my stance, and obviously I've been waving around my trade board and those sorts of things in videos for the last little while. I was really bullish about not giving away pick 19. Would have done it if we needed to. I actually think what Geelong actually put together in the end, where they offered pick 19, I think it was a future second. I don't think it was the second this year. I think it was the future second, where it's supposed to be a pretty strong draft next year. I don't think that was too bad. My idea for a while that I've spoken about was that we engaged an Essendon or someone like that, tried to pluck out an early second round pick. So what for them right now is pick 21. Go and get that pick 21 from them. Maybe you bundle up a couple futures and those sorts of things. Go get that pick 21 and then put that together with a Ted Closey or someone like that who's going to offer depth to them in the midfield. Potentially even be a starter for them. A best 23 player, and go from there. But again, I would have accepted if they decided to do 19 and Closey as well, like for the sake of two picks in the draft. No big deal. So I'm a bit shocked that St Kilda didn't take the option that was there in front of them. But they seem to be. I've seen a few people in the chat, suggesting that Saints just did not want to transact with us no matter what. That they were going to be problematic in that regard. That Ross didn't want to work with us. Sorry, there's a few bugs starting to fly around in here. We can hope, and I guess to Lockie's question here, where he says, "Would we go for Marshall again next year?" Maybe a bit like, and I referenced Clayton Oliver before. It probably won't be the same precipitous drop, but there might be a scenario where his value it diminishes. He loses a lot of stock, not because he's necessarily playing bad football, but it's the opportunity cost that comes with Tom De Koning coming into the team. And while I would like to think, to the points before about Toby Conway and about Mitch Edwards and those things, hopefully they develop and become what we want them to become. But you could also get Rowan Marshall for a lot cheaper in 12 months from now, and maybe that's an option for us. But also, there's so much water to pass under the bridge in the meantime. We also might need to invest our picks in someone like a Zach Butters, who's going to be an option for us next year. That race, just casting an eye forward to next year, that race has now become infinitely more competitive. My great hope was, obviously, the Dogs are one of the front runners in this race. He's an ex-Dog supporter. Outside of Geelong, the Dogs are the next closest team to home. But now you've got the Dogs, you've got the Cats, and the Hawthorn by not getting Merit, and now in the race for Zach Butters as well.
He's going to be the
and
biggest.
they were already interested anyway, but now it's like that's going to be a really competitive one. So
he's going to be talked about every week next year, Zach Butters, unless he resigns or something.
Depends what Port Adelaide do next year as well.
Results.
Pressure's going to be on Josh Carr in his first year in charge. Like, obviously, we wanted Travis Spoke to Geelong a few years back. He knocked back on us, stayed on with Port. I think it's a 4-horse race in my opinion as well with Port Adelaide.
I don't think he's staying there. Just hasn't he sold his house in Adelaide? Hasn't he sold his house in Adelaide already?
And I hope he gets out of there. It's going to be an absolute rebel next year. Nothing more certain than that. But
horrible state. It's shit. Oh, sorry, not want to talk about that. just trying to bait you again, mate. It's all right.
I don't think unless Port have to make a grand final next year, I reckon, for Butters to stay.
Grand final or bust, you know. Well, they've got Stewie Jew in the coach's box now. He's done wonders at Brisbane. Oh, geez. You know, we all know what happened in 2008. Gee whiz.
To Rage's point here, do we think we're a good chance for Butters next year? I think we've got options to put forward. Are we the most likely team?
No.
My gut says no.
If Ken Hinkley's at the club, then absolutely we are.
Honestly, I think if the Bulldogs, Geelong, or Hawthorn, or any other club for that matter, are smart, you go get Ken Hinkley.
Well, should we have gotten Ken Hinkley?
Get him to be the janitor for all I care. Make him the best paid janitor of all time. I don't care. But get him in the door,
he'll be the water boy. He'll be the cheerleader like he was in his last couple of years.
Just get him standing out there on his little arm. He's flying. Leaning the world. But if you get Ken Hinkley in the door, you have put a massive case forward to Zach Butters. Their relationship is apparently just so tight. Give yourself every chance. Like, Kenny, come back to Geelong, mate. We'd love to have you again. But, everyone will blame us for breaching the salary cap, the soft cap. Oh, no, they got Nathan Buckley. Now they've gotten Ken Hinkley as well. Fuck off, everyone.
Yeah, to be honest, I'll be very surprised if Zach Butters is not a Footscray next year.
I think they're the front runner. I think
he's going to the Bulldogs, yeah.
They've got $1 million now in salary cap because Jamara's gone. So
yeah, they got cash to spend now.
I think they did anyway, to be fair.
And I think with Jamara off the books, I think I think that was probably if you were a dog supporter, you'd be generally speaking you'd be a bit annoyed if you've basically your number one picks just walked out the door for basically nothing. But then you look at what you're saving in dollar terms and think, well, we've got a bloke who's out of contract, one of the best players in the comp, coming out of contract at the end of next year. He's a big Doggy supporter and he's good mates with half the list. That would kind of soften the blow a fair bit if it was me.
Yeah. I'll just bring up just for a little bit of extra perspective for us. Sorry, keep going, Ben. But just as we're going, I'm projecting. This is all up to date as well. This is what clubs have got, not just this year, but next year and 2027 as well available. So we can actually skim quickly down to the Dogs and see. But they've got their full complement. Their round 1 through 4 picks still available. They haven't traded any futures through this whole thing. So Geelong, obviously, we're the same. We haven't given away anything in that regard, have we? No, we offered up a future. We didn't give it away. And Hawthorn have actually got a little bit more to work with. And none of those 3 clubs have touched 2027 yet. So
Butters will go to the Dogs and Luke Beveridge will just play him out of position. Just play him as full forward or something.
There you go, right?
He can put him at half back.
Yeah, like a key back position.
Kenny can join the cheer squad, Jackie says. Whatever gets the job done.
I mean, to be fair to I mean, like, people keep bagging Luke Beveridge now. When I was living in Melbourne 20 years ago, I lived in Mentone when he was coaching St. Bede's, and he basically coached them from C section, B section, A section premierships 3 years in a row. And I actually spoke to him a couple of times down there, and I'm like, yeah, if there's one thing about this bloke, he's a player's man, and he knows how to communicate with the guys and all that kind of thing. Now, I keep hearing stuff about how he plays blokes and stuff like that, but keep in mind that, in the 10 years he's been there, he's got Footscray to as many flags and as many grand finals as in the previous 90 years of their whole fucking existence. So he's got to be doing something right. Now, Brendan McCartney had to take a bit of credit for the work there, to be fair, but
he won't get that credit. But you're right, yeah.
Well, I mean, after they won in 2016, quite a few of the players said we wouldn't be here without Macca. So, yeah. I mean, this is what I used to say to like it's interesting looking at like Footscray and St Kilda. The thing I used to get in arguments, big footy, about Brendan McCartney on the Footscray board, and I'm like, look, you got to understand what he's trying to do here. He's not just trying to get you into the finals or maybe sneak into a granny or something. Like, he's trying to get your guys to play the sort of football that's going to give you sustained success, not just while he's there, but when the next bloke comes in, that you're passing through this. These are the things you need to do to be up here, and this is you would hear Bomber sort of talking about it. It's like, I remember like friends of mine saying to me, like back in 02, 03, it's like you can see that the players are trying to do the right thing, they just haven't got it right yet. Wait until they've got that little bit of extra seasoning, and they'll get it right. It'll just happen, and it happened with us. But it was all like you could see it happening with Footscray. Like they were winning all the stat categories that matter, that win premierships. But a 15-minute lapse where the opposition had kicked 7 or 8 goals would cook them, and that's just experience. And I kept saying this is like he's got this on the right track. Just wait.
Just give him time.
Fortunately for Footscray, being the overall shit club that they pretty much had always been, they actually got they somehow managed to get the right bloke to come in and finish the work that had been done. Now, what he's done since that premiership, is up for debate, I guess. But yeah, I mean, and look, this is my thing with St Kilda, is that I'm like. I like my one of my ex-girlfriends, and like a lot of the Poms that came over on the boats in the 60s happened to lob up, and I reckon half the St Kilda supporters are those guys and their kids. They bobbed up when St Kilda had Darryl Baldock and all that, and went, oh, we'll follow these guys, not realising they'd done all for the whole 100 years, whole previous like 80 years of their existence, and haven't done a 2/10 of bugger all since. And it's like, and one of my ex-girlfriends, her parents were St Kilda supporters for that reason, and she said, why are they so shit? And I said, where do I start? It's like, there's a certain thing. People talk about culture, and culture's not that important, or, culture doesn't mean shit if you haven't got the players or whatever. It's like, no, like you've got to get that off-field stuff right.
Right. First. And by the way, Jackie, I am aware of what Jake's put there. As soon as there's a little gap in our conversation, I will bring up Jake's stats on Braden Crossley. I've already got them ready to go, but we'll get through this a little bit first.
And I don't want to waffle on too much about it, but just seeing as I think we're all a bit shitty with them, I sink the slipper in a little bit.
Irrelevant.
Yeah, I like it. They're forever a loser club, Horatio.
No, but the thing I said to him was, look, I said the thing that used to annoy me about Geelong, and I go back to this, I think I've mentioned it when I've talked on here before, when the original open mic, and Mike Shee on Optus Vision back in the late 90s, and he did one with Doug Wade, and Doug Wade's sitting there, we didn't really care whether we won or not. We just wanted to have a kick with our mates and, get on the piss afterwards. If we won, great, but, we didn't really care. And I'm like, this is why despite playing some of the most exciting football in the history of the league and having some of the most talented sides in the history of the league, we've got Six Flags, and all these other clubs like Essendon and Carlton and Collingwood and even Melbourne have got bloody twice as many flags as us over the same period, because they are there. They're like, we're going to win flags we're here to win flags. We're not here to have fun. We're here to win, and we're going to win at any cost, right? And we never had that attitude until Bomber came in. Correct. And then and this is what's changed. And this is why I sort of agree with Lucas when he was saying about Chris Scott being under pressure. I don't agree with what he's based his idea on, but I agreed in the sense that I just felt like we'd fallen into this thing of the worst thing a club can do is lose sight of where they're really at. Right? You start to get a skewed,
that's all it is, right?
Skewed view of how you're travelling, right? And Carlton's been a bit of an example of that over the last 15 years. They think they're going a little bit better than, and
they know we're coming.
They're going a little bit better than they actually are.
Can you smell what the Blues are cooking?
Yeah, and it falls apart.
Let's look forward to making the top 4 because we will.
Yeah. And I'm sort of thinking, we're just slipping into this. We're happy to be in contention, there or thereabouts, winning most of our games and all that. But when it comes down to actually going for the silverware, are we doing the things we need to do to make that happen? And like I said, up to the end of 2021, I wasn't quite sure. But we have turned around 1-1 since. Things didn't go so well this year, but the sign.
And honestly, we were 5 minutes away from it going our way last year in the prelim too. So
so
that was one that got away. Yep.
But the thing with St Kilda is that they are a club that are afraid of success. Every time they get on the cusp of building something sustainable, something successful for an extended period of time, they always find a way.
Shaw comes out like a librarian and squashes it. Just a cheeky drive-by for the Saints fans in there.
They always find a way to fuck it up. It's like I was talking with, mentioning Luke Ball in the Discord earlier today. It's like, look at they ran Luke Ball into the ground playing, and Justin Koshitsky. I don't know if you remember, he won a Rising Star. I don't remember watching him. Yeah. You watch him in that first year and then watch him in every year after that. And they just killed him. You remember that, I'm watching this bloke in 2001 and I'm like, this guy looks like a taller, more athletic Paul Roos. He was leaping through the air and running and kicking 60 meters. It's like, look at this bloke. If this bloke was number 2, I can't wait to see what this Revolt bloke looks like. And he turned out to be all right. But fast forward, I think they played us in the last round in 2001. It was a pretty close game. I think we won by a couple of goals. And they were probably St Kilda's 2 best players. Revolt and Koshitsky were probably their 2 best players. It's like, geez, you've got your bookends here. Surely. And then was it round 2 or round 3 down at barely 6 months later? And essentially what amounted for both clubs 2 games later. we beat them by 20 goals. And Koshitsky couldn't move. He was just standing there in the square because he couldn't run. They broke him.
Yeah.
And then they did the same to Luke Ball. And then they brought, after Brendan Goddard, they drafted Brendan Goddard. He comes back, and his top half was like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he couldn't run. I remember saying to my mate, it's like, what have they done to him? It's like, they beefed up his upper body, and he can't run, and he did his knee. It's like, they're shit. This is why they're shit. They get handed these bloody great players, and they're killing them. You're destroying them. And then, and then even like, God,
right.
Even,
you're right in the sense like Nick Riewoldt is one of the few exceptions, and he nearly dragged him. He nearly dragged him there, to be fair. But
yep.
And Lenny Hayes,
but like
Lenny Hayes as well, yeah.
But the thing that always stood out to me and I could sit here for hours going through all the shitty things that St Kilda managed to fuck up royally over the years, and there's just every year there's something.
There's a lot of them.
And look at it. Look, even like
what
the first like, let's be honest, right? They were two bad bounces away from being back-to-back premiers. If that ball, you watch with the Scarlet toe poke or that Milne kick, if that ball had bounced any other way, they would have won 2 flags, right? Now, just say you make your own luck, but I mean, the fact that they got the bad bounce 2 years in a row, right, at key times of the game, that's bad luck. But
shows
then
the footy gods know their shit. Don't worry about it.
True.
Jackie says, "Excuse me, 2 great bounces." I think Jackie's mostly honing. Well, actually, no, it worked out nicely for us in 09. And actually, Jackie's very rightly so, anti Stephen Milne. So actually, yeah. I won't actually question any of that. That's actually a fantastic comment. And by the way, massive shout out there to Scars HT with that absolute cracker of a joke. Do you know why we can't swim at St Kilda Beach? It's because they only have 1 flag. That is an absolute gem, and I apologize if I had a Shannon pizza to give you right now. You, sir, would have a pizza.
Oh,
but
and it's just a reminder to swim between the flags this summer. Good little disclosure there at the end, Scars.
But just to wrap that point up, is that, okay, they got close, they didn't win it, they had of course you're going to be a bit flat. You've played in 3 grand finals, couldn't get over the line. You're going to be a bit flat. Now, but what had happened is they were actually building a reasonable culture there. Rossi clearly cared about the club and everything. So what do? They lowball him, right? So a club, so Freo comes in and says, well, if they don't really want him,
if they don't value him,
they don't really want him, we'll pinch him. And then they cry, oh, Ross, oh, you bastard, whatever. It's like, well, you should have signed him up for what he was. Look at what he's done for your club. Sign him up. And then they end up getting him. Then they come and get him back 10 years later. It's like, you shouldn't have got rid of him in the first place, you dickheads. He should have been doing he could have been doing like what Chris Scott has done with us, is like building something, and improving the long culture,
and set a culture, and maybe get some success along the way.
But they can't help themselves. And and what I think's happening this year is that they think by pretending to be one of the big boys we're going to play like the big boys play, that somehow represents something. Well, they're going to find out, and make no mistake about it, that the way they've handled this trade period is going to bite them in the ass big time over the next
100%.
There's that side of it where you're right. There's that side of it where they're going to be clubs are going to be reluctant to work with them and play nice with them going forward. But also there's the other half, which is with the amount of money that they're throwing out. And I'm not going to suggest in any way that they're breaching salary caps or those things. So I don't think they have. I don't think any club does anymore. There's just too much going on there and too many eyes across these things for that sort of mistake or deliberate thing to occur. But what can't happen, this can't be sustainable. They've basically put themselves in a situation that teams like Hawthorn were for a long time, that Richmond found themselves in, that Brisbane are now currently in, where because they're kind of victims. It's hard to call them a victim because they've been successful, but they are victims of their own success, where these guys who want more money can't because the top end is consuming so much of it that they go looking for opportunities elsewhere. They've done that without winning. They've now put themselves in that situation without winning a premiership. And maybe they do win one this year. And if they do, it all worked. Props to you, St Kilda. I don't think it addresses the cultural things that you're talking about, but props to you, St Kilda. You managed to pinch a flag. But I don't see a scenario where they can, be competitive for 2, 3, 4 years beyond that, because players are going to have to go get their bag. So they might pinch one. Maybe it works out they pinch one.
Finals
but
anyway.
Yeah, well, they don't really know their way around it, so that's not going to help them too much. But
and then throwing their captain from this year on the, just throwing him out the door like a bag of mouldy tangerines.
Now, get me this right.
You got the captain that wants to stay.
You throw out your captain for a third rounder, and you think Rowan Marshall is worth a top 10 pick. They're not the president of the United States. That's the logic like that. I think it's absolutely disgraceful how they treated their captain at St Kilda. That's just it's mind blowing, man.
It is. The inconsistency behind it's ridiculous in the sense that also, like, setting aside the status, but you're absolutely right, that's part of it as well. You've got a bloke who wants to be there, has bled for your club, and wants to continue to do so. You toss him out the door. You got a bloke who's out there going, I want to leave, and they keep him. And they're both of a similar-ish vintage. Doesn't add up. And it is we've got no proof. Again, we're talking about a Grundy and Gawn situation that might potentially hit them. So I don't. It's crazy. But again, maybe everything works. Jackie's just popped in saying Jack Steele's the luckiest St Kilda player, luckiest former St Kilda player. But to get out of that joint. But like I said, maybe, and credit to him if it works. Maybe they've stocked up in all the right places. Naz does his thing. They managed to keep Wilkie as their key position defender. Maybe they go and win a premiership in that. And if that's the case, congratulations to them. I don't think it'll happen, but maybe if by some chance they pull it out, congratulations to them.
No way.
But the damage that they have done, or the inability to sustain this, I think is going to be obvious because they've just invested too much and it can't pay off long term. You just can't keep these players, let alone the reputational damage that you've done by doing what you did to Lee Lear, what you've done to Rowan Marshall. Like that creates long term consequences as well.
So the thing I find with all of the moves and that St Kilda make is like it's the epitome of all sizzle and no steak. Like, yeah, you've made the moves and all that, but where's the substance there? What's really behind it? Have you okay, it looks great on paper, but what are you actually going to do that's going to get this, that's going to make this work? And this is St Kilda we're talking about. Like, I don't think that the talent that they've got in there, while, I think in the right environment, you'd say, oh, yeah, that's a pretty good list. But to St Kilda, I think, unless you've got – so that's the thing. I mean, I just – like this is the – I've kind of defended Ross Lyon a fair bit over the years as a coach. But I think this is seeing as I think he's obviously he's been sort of playing the list manager during this trade period. It's like, he's, reneged on a couple of deals and, pulled the trigger on a couple of others and all this sort of stuff. So it's like, well, Ross, you've shown in the past that you're great at taking a list that's played a bit together, has a bit of talent, and getting them in to head in the right direction. It's like, well, this is your build, dude. These are your guys that you're bringing in. You've kept blokes, you've moved on guys that wanted to stay. You've kept blokes that wanted to move on. Let's see if you really know what you're doing here.
Yeah, no, agreed. I'm going to quickly kind of change the conversation for a moment and shift it to, as was referenced earlier, Jake's points in the Discord
Blake
today.
Hardwick on Instagram has just posted a picture of the Essendon logo with the word Alcatraz underneath, and then just posted a picture of Alcatraz.
Sorry, Blake Hardwick's done this.
Yeah.
Say? I'm gonna. What's he on Instagram? I'll get it all pinned on screen.
It's Blake Hardwick 15. Blake Hardwick 15, I think.
There he is. Did you say it was in his story?
Yeah, it was on the story.
Oh yeah, there it is. Hang on, I'll come back to the Discord in a sec. Actually, let's sharing that. Sorry, Jake, I just gave you a moment, and then I'm kicking you out straight away. Blake Hardwick on Instagram right now. It's just a picture of Alcatraz. I like it. Good on him. Fuck the Hawks, but good on him. But yeah, I'll quickly bring back Jake's thing here. So this is the conversation about Braden Crossley. So the ruckman that we've been seeing at Southport. We're getting the full Discord conversation here. I can't just kind of zoom in on what the specific part, but he just kind of highlights a few points. Tore up the Cats when we played him in 2023. I think he was a previously Gold Coast son. He was. Anyway, not so much that one. He's averaged 15.4 disposals, 3.8 marks, 5.3 tackles, and 33 hitouts, as well as 0.7 goals a game in 88 matches since 2021. In that VFL Grand Final that we recently saw, he had 65 hitouts and laid 11 tackles as a ruckman. Like that's, and you're getting him for peanuts. That's
I like it.
Certainly one to consider. We obviously discussed this much earlier on the stream, but you look at some of those numbers, you look at those stats, and of course, that's VFL level, and you don't necessarily translate it 1-for-1 across the AFL. That's a pretty bloody good platform, and you look at especially those grand final figures, and you go, that's what winning means to this bloke. And it didn't work out, of course. The Dogs got the chocolates.
He's still young as well. He's like 26 years old, 27.
Yeah, no, he looks like he's nearing 40.
It looks like he's like 30s,
but yeah, he was born in 99. Jeez.
Hey.
So he's 26. Well,
me too.
16th of August. So yeah, he's only just turned 26 as well. So he's got
plenty
of time ahead of him. This is absolutely your J-Pod type of candidate. So certainly one to consider there. And thanks Jake and Jackie for kind of keeping that one going in the Discord.
How was your man?
Check the Discord beyond that. I don't know. Oh, hang on. I've been tagged in something post game. What have we got here?
How old was Sean Manor when we picked him up?
26.
Oh, he was 26. Yeah. He's 2 years older than me. So
Scars has just dropped this one in the Discord as well.
Well, I mean, I watched that VFL Grand Final, and I mean, the dude is a physically imposing.
There's your godfather. There's your godfather.
That's good.
Thank you, Scars.
Actually,
there's another comment in there as well. What else we got?
If
got Dacos in the hoops. Want to send it to my Collingwood supporter boss. Hang on, Bussy. I'll drop it in the old Bussy. I'll drop it for you in the Discord. I'll do it right now. Where are we? There we go.
Going by that photo, Chris Scott's got a career as a mafia don after he's done coaching us.
Looks the part, doesn't he?
He does.
He does.
All right, what else have we got here in the comments? Sarah says, any idea what's going on with Curnow? Sarah, you might be a little bit behind. He's a Sydney player now. They got
Sandra
the deal
Sally
done.
with the late news.
Rough, but yeah, a little bit. What are we now? It's about 2 hours ago. The deal got done. Jackie says, Jessica says Jackie be deleted a couple hours later. Oh yeah. Darren Gilmore, can we do some Hawthorn hate? We did have a good laugh at Hawthorn's expense before. Pretty funny. Again, I will begin by saying I think the deal they put through was a really good deal. But also sucks shit you didn't get the player you wanted. Ha! All right, done. Where are we? That's a lot of people just updating Sarah on the Curnow trade.
Yeah, like
we have Scotty pole dancing, so we might need someone to AI Chris Scott onto old mate.
People saying Essendon won 4 first rounders for merit, 4 first rounders and a
That's what
player.
they asked for. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't mind. I definitely don't mind seeing the Hawks miss out, but yeah, seriously,
it's crazy from Essendon. Now, I don't think this, like, I think Huswaite as part of these deals wasn't. I don't think that was overly additive at all. But the number of picks, and there was Mackenzie that was potentially in there as an option. Like, there was enough there, I think, that could have and should have appeased Essendon.
Well, I like watching. I saw a little bit of Huswaite in the VFL this year, and he's certainly one of those guys that was too good for VFL. But just could use a bit. Just needs a bit more development. And the thing with Hawthorn is, I mean, they've lost a couple of blokes just purely on the basis of, and had to chop a couple of blokes just purely on the basis that they've just, they've brought in other guys and other players that was sort of on the cusp of now being shuffled back in the pecking order. And so I think he's, they weren't sort of trading him a bloke that's, I think an out and out battler, or wasn't really up to it. It was just, we were going to delist this bloke as soon as his contract's up or something like that. So yeah, I mean, I mean, this is the thing with again, clubs that, I mean, I think the way Carlton ended up playing their hand was the right way. They did the right thing. I saw people, some people sort of saying that Carlton weren't acting in good faith and stuff like that. So, look, Carlton have got to do what they think's best for their footy club. They've got a bloke, who's in their best half dozen players, is a key position player who, a couple of years ago won a Coleman medal and was all Australian. So he's contracted for another 4 years. It's like, just because the bloke turns around and says, "Oh, I don't want to be here anymore," that can't just be the basis for, "Oh, well, we've got to just get him out the door and accept the poo-poo platter." And
they don't even have to do that, because the great advantage they had in this scenario is you had 2 clubs in Geelong and Sydney that were vying off for the guy, so you can play him off against each other and drive his price up a bit.
And I think that, to our credit...
By the way, Bailey Smith, we referenced Bailey Smith earlier on, so there's a few more socials from him. He's a big fan of Jamara coming across, big fan of Chaz, obviously making his way to the Swans. He did see the Swans Now comment, but also he says he's now a GWS supporter as well. So...
But, I think... he basically, this is the thing, without any absolutely 100% set in stone official word from Charlie himself. It was basically he wants to go to Geelong for first preference here. We put our offer on the table and said that's what we've got. Carlton said no, and we moved. We kind of moved on, and then it was left to Sydney to, and I think that we didn't get caught in that. We didn't get FOMO. We didn't get caught in the bidding war. It's like, look, you won't take this. Well, that's what we got. We're not.
That's what strong clubs do, right? They stick to their guns, and then they back in their various other systems to either develop someone or to go and find someone. And that's where, again, this is where Jake's point about Crossley comes in, or you do look at a Soldo, or you, God help us, if you bring in a what's his name? Goldstein or someone like that. But you'll go, okay, this one didn't work out. We're not going to pay overs for this guy, and we'll explore the other options here that will get us something close to what we're looking for.
And I think, I think our attitude was basically, we were pretty sweet. I think we made sure we hosed down any, they can ask us for whatever player we want. We're not trading them a player, pretty much. So, so I thought, even though we didn't get either of those players, Yeah, I thought the way we went about it was actually well handled, and I think given that I sort of think given that we haven't opened up a whole lot of space on our list, that keeping those earlier picks might not be the worst thing anyway.
Yeah, no, there's certainly merit in it. A deal that I wouldn't mind picking through with the three of you while I've got you is the Christian Petrarca one. Obviously doesn't involve the Cats in any way, shape or form, but just to get some thoughts on this. So I'll read out the details just to help, because there was a fair few moving pieces when it comes to this one. So what occurred in the end, obviously Gold Coast got Christian Petrarca, but then there was 1 million picks that went in that deal. So the D's now have pick 7 and 8 in the draft. They got them from Gold Coast. They also got 37 this year. They got Gold Coast's 2026 first round pick and the Suns' 2027 third round pick. So we've got two firsts, a future first, as well as 37 and some pick for next year. In return, Suns obviously got Petrarca. They also got pick 24, 28, and then Melbourne's 2026 second round pick. Who wins that deal? Essentially
Gold
three
Coast,
firsts and then a few
Gold
exchanges and
Coast.
other things afterwards in exchange
Def-
for Petrarca.
definitely.
Right now, Gold Coast, considering it's a compromised draft, you're going to get a lot of academy picks and all that. And they've just added a Rolls Royce in their midfield as well. But the thing with Petrarca, he doesn't have to be that number one guy in the midfield either. When you've got Matt Rao and Noah Anderson doing all the grunt work, you can rest him up at the forward pocket. You can put him anywhere around the ground. It's a great get for the Suns because he could do as he wished. If he went to the Adelaide Crows, however, he would have had to be that number one guy alongside Jordan Dawson in that midfield. So less pressure for Petrarca going to the Gold Coast. Absolutely huge get for them.
Everyone else, what do you think, Ben? What's your thinking of that particular transaction?
Yeah, definitely Gold Coast are the winners from that. That's pretty much a what's the word? When you have a big three, it's pretty much a big three: Anderson, Rao, and Petrarca. And
yet you've still got Miller and all these other guys.
Triumvirate, the word you're thinking of.
And they've kept Bailey Humphrey as well.
Yep.
Oh, they did too. Yeah, that's right.
It looks good for the Suns.
Not to mention, and this is why I'm of the mind that they've won that deal. Going back to our conversation before about their academy picks, they've managed to get Petrarca. They've also got their pick 24 and 28, which can be bundled up to match the ones on the Annibals and or whatever. Zekielans and all those sorts of guys. So for me, they've absolutely nailed this. Like 7 and 8, they didn't need to go get them. They just get soaked up anyway. Now they can use some later picks, and they don't, like all reports, they don't have like big academy options for next year. It's this year. They're going to lock them down, and 2026 rolls along, and they have whatever they have for the draft. No big deal. Melbourne's not. I don't think Melbourne necessarily loses out of this. They need their pick 7 and 8. Petrarca was gone. I think the deal they got from Gold Coast is better than what the deal that they could get from Adelaide would be. I don't think with any doubt. And 7 and 8, you can do some pretty good things with those. Well, 7 and 8, that probably becomes 9 and 10 by the time some of these academy players get picked up and the father sons. But I don't think they lose, but certainly the big winner here is Gold Coast. Rush, are you kind of a similar mind?
I always think with these, like on face value, it's hard not to think that Gold Coast are the winners. Like looking at it on paper, for sure. I mean, you're basically adding a bloke that at one time was a top 5 player in the comp. And probably even as recently as 18 months ago was a top 5 player in the comp. And he's a game breaker. So, it's not having to carry quite so much responsibility in the midfield, or, even playing like as a half. Can you imagine, like, they have the luxury of playing just a half forward? Like, there's some question marks about his recovery from that injury last year. Like, I don't think this year he was at the level that he had been at previously, even though he still had a good year. But that's what it is. Like, I just think, geez, if they say, look, we don't need you to do the stuff
you don't need to be the rock star anymore.
You can just sort of, come in and out of the game and, kick us 2 or 3 every week.
Yeah.
Sort of like, and have a few bursts in there. And see how I mean, look, if his body comes,
if he gets close to his best again, holy shit.
Yeah.
Which is exactly my point. Like, because I said again, he goes to the Crows. No, you're going to be the number one. You're going to be the number one guy. Besides, I don't think Dawson will be the number one guy. It'll be Christian Petrarca, and Petrarca will be like, "Oh no way, my body's cooked."
I'm got to do this all over again. Like, he carried Melbourne, but I don't know if he could do it again.
Yeah, so I mean, it's then going to be, obviously with these deals, one, you never know how. Like, say, there's some question marks over, whether he can return to his absolute best because of that injury he got. And then you never know what the club are going to do with the various picks that they got. So, some of these deals you can never fully assess until years down the track. But certainly, where I would say that Gold Coast 100% won
Destination club.
Is that
never change.
If you get a guy of the caliber of Petrarca to say, "Yeah, I'm not going to go. I want to go to the Gold Coast and play there," as opposed to Adelaide or another club in Melbourne or that. That's I think that's that's good signs. That's a good sign that your footy club's headed in the right direction, because basically, until sort of recent years, it had mostly been blokes that were, and we had, how many of these players wore our Guernsey? It's like, yeah, we don't have room for this bloke in our midfield anymore. You get a game for Gold Coast, though. Let's trade him to him. Let's trade him to them, like Murdoch and Paul and Smith and these blokes, like, oh, yeah, Gold Coast will take him, So being able to get a bloke like Petrarca, it's good optics for them, as the saying goes these days.
I mean, everything's optics, right? I'm going to in a moment. I'm just getting everything projected on the screen. I've got a million tabs open, apparently. I'm going to bring up all of the various other... There we go. My screen's cleaned up significantly. I'm going to bring up all the other trades of today, and we can kind of pick through some of those. Just to... Oh, yeah, there's Jackie's just highlighting the Charlie Constable, the Chook drive-by there. Thanks, mate. But, yeah, Jackie's right. It's amazing. All right, let's talk through some of these other deals. Let's lean into Scotty's theatrics a little bit here. Says feels good to be a destination club, because the first trade of the day was Ollie Florent coming to the independent of the other deal. Oh, we just lost Kiri. Independent of the Charlie Curnow deal, came across to Carlton for a 2026 third round pick tied to Carlton. Thoughts on that deal?
It was a bit of a surprise that it wasn't part of the
Kiri's got to go. He's left a little comment in the chat. Okay, no worries. Thanks, mate. If you're catching this after the fact, awesome to have you on board, mate. All right, sorry. Yeah, keep going.
It was a bit of a surprise just not being part of the Curnow deal.
Yeah.
We all thought that was going to be in the case, but it's separate. I don't really know what he adds. They clearly see something in him, and that's up to them.
I think he's been underrated at Sydney, to be fair.
Maybe. The only thing I remember
I think that's a decent valuation, because next year's meant to be a pretty decent draft. Carlton's probably, especially when you lose Charlie Curnow, the form of this year, they lose Tom De Koning as well. They're probably going to be a bottom half of the 8 team, I would imagine.
Probably a bottom 4 team. Could be a bottom 4 team next year, Carlton.
Oh no, I wouldn't have gone that far.
Okay.
I wouldn't have gone that far.
I don't think that either.
But they'll probably back themselves into go, okay, so Carlton's possibly going to finish what, 10th? Right, we get roughly the 8th, 9th pick in the draft. Sorry, in the third round. That's especially in a less compromised year. You're talking about something in the what are we talking about? The early 40s. with a few bids that come in. It's not too bad,
Around that.
especially if they've got eyes on someone for the following year. Russia, thoughts on the Ollie Florent deal?
Yeah, wasn't there, like, I sort of heard, I think somewhere during the course of the year that there was a few off-field issues with Ollie that the club wasn't happy with, or something like that.
Getting on the terms.
I'm not privy to what that was,
No,
but that seemed to be what I was. That seemed to be sort of the word, was that there was some, there was some attitude issues there. The problems with attitude. I mean, they basically decided, no, we'll move this bloke on, whether it's for cap space and all that kind of thing. So I mean, I didn't think when that original deal that the Swans put to him yesterday, I thought that was a pretty reasonable deal, because Florent and Hayward are both going to be, they'll both be in their best side next year.
Absolutely.
And I think they'll both play good footy for Carlton as well. So yeah, I was pretty much like, look, if Carlton don't take that deal, well, what deal are they going to take? So I'm just sort of wondering if that deal wasn't sort of done as a bit of to garner a bit of good, as a bit of a goodwill gesture, to sort of say, well, okay, look, we'll chuck another first rounder in there, but let it be done. Yeah,
it's pretty wild that there was a deal that involved 2 first rounders and then Hayward and Florent, and then what we got instead was 3 first rounders and Florent and Hayward, and obviously some swaps of other bits and pieces.
Yeah,
pretty full on.
But I actually we talked about St Kilda a fair bit, but I think Curno's a decent loss, but then what I saw of Curno this year in terms of his on-field attitude, wasn't. I don't think it was up to par. And I actually said this on the Jumper Punch, like, there was I was like, mate, this guy's a problem. If Carlton want to, be up here, they're not going to get there with a bloke that's carrying on like that's doing this sort of crap out here with body language like that. Like, they gotta let this bloke. They gotta do something with this bloke while he's got some currency. And I think that okay, it's hard to replace a key position forward, but I think the other players they got in are going to come in and be good players, be good players and have an impact. So yeah, I mean, I think on the whole they did pretty. They've done
right.
very well out of it.
Scotty says that he's now Sydney's problem in response to you. But also, and just actually link, because I think it was Jackie before that also flagged one of the non-trades in the end, like Stephen May earlier on. You've got the likes of Stephen May, who'd been given some marching orders. He hasn't exited the club. Carlton were apparently, reconsidering the Elijah Hollands situation. He's still there. So there's a few of these non-deals beyond obviously the big headline ones that we've discussed that haven't gotten through as well. So that's, I guess, some fascinating texture that goes with everything as well. But our next trade here is Chenkuth Jiath heading from the Hawks to the D's, pick 42 in this year's draft, as well as a 2026 fourth round pick. So not a huge amount being given up for him. I feel like he's been underrated a bit. I know disposal can be a little bit of an issue from time to time, but his intent, he attacks the ball. There was that one great play that he, when he got on the field against us in the prelim, I thought, oh, hang on a second, this is danger. He took off and was chasing people down and played pretty well at different stages in the prelim there once he got on the ground. But so I feel like he's gone for unders here potentially. Thoughts? Anyone agree? Disagree?
I think he's a player that's not Melbourne is sort of missing. Don't really have that sort of halfback,
explosive
player who comes off and delivers it inside 50 or something. So it's probably a good get if they can get him right.
Yeah. No, I think there's something to that. Shadu says GF to replace May. Yeah, key defender for a running, butchering halfback, something like that. But no, I think he's pretty solid. I think he could add a bit to them, as you said, Shadu. Horatio, thoughts?
Yeah, I think like just what I noticed with him at Hawthorn this year was I feel like he tended to end up in situations that weren't necessarily, given the nature of their back line, more to do about the players, sort of where he ended up having to fit into their side. I feel like I feel like a player like that sort of needs a bit of needs a role and a bit of continuity, and I'm not 100% sure he was getting that at Hawthorn. So you kind of saw the bit, and in that prelim, I sort of agree with what you were saying. I think you sort of saw the best and worst of him. In that space of time that he was on, but I think there's some. I think that he's obviously a pretty decent physical specimen. He's got a bit of dash, and the intent's there. I'm always a fan of guys that like to take the game on, and he's one of those guys. So, so I think if Melbourne can, get him and say, right, well, this is what we're going to do with you, and develop him, and and stick with him, I think he can become a very dangerous player for them.
Next up, we've got Jai Sarong leaving the Hawks to go to the Swans. There was a fourth round, basically Jai and a fourth round. There was a bit of a pick swap going on. Not a lot to that one. He was obviously looking for opportunity, wasn't getting it at the Hawks. I am surprised that Freo didn't get involved, given his brother is a rock star player of the competition, but at their club. But he's gone off to the Swans. They, looking for more depth in that key position part of the ground.
Yeah, I don't think Freo sort of had. I don't think he was going to be, as far as like game time goes, I don't think he was going to be any better off at Freo than he was at Hawthorn. So I think Sydney's a good fit for him, and he'll be a good solid player for him. He's from out my way, so I'm fairly familiar with his work. So I think he'll, I think he's a pretty handy pickup for them.
Yeah, no, that's fair. You've then got, this was a pick swap, not a lot to this. I think as the article kind of flags here, it was to kind of help open up some of the merit deal stuff. Didn't eventuate in the end, but Carlton gave up pick 9 as well as pick 31, 42, 43. Sorry, they received those things, I should say. And Hawthorn got pick 10 and 22, but then couldn't use them in any way to get merit over the line. I don't think there's a hell of a lot to see there. So let's move on to a bit of a surprise transaction. Finbar Maley from North Melbourne. Not that he's a high-profile one, but I think the fact that he's just not featured at all, he's a bit of a no-name, and then it's just suddenly, boom, trade. They got Finbar Maley, fourth-round pick 64 in exchange. North got pick 57 and a future fourth in 2026. Not a lot to see here, I think, in your mind.
Well, there was, I don't know, I know a few of us were watching the trade radio, and they, towards the end there, last hour, they did an interview with Brady Rawlings, sort of talking about how North Melbourne's trade period gone, like the potential, were they looking at Lee Lear, the Jai Simpkins situation and all that. And then sort of at the end, they mentioned this. And he was in the same situation as George Stevens and a couple of other blokes that, they're uncontracted. We're just waiting to kind of see how things were playing out in the, over the trade period before we, start penning any further deals and things like that. And he was in that situation. And Adelaide sort of came sniffing around and said, well, would you, if we offered you this, would you take it? And North said yes. So, I don't know much about him as a player, but I just thought it was interesting seeing as Adelaide had been sniffing around George Stevens as one of our contracted guys. And nothing happened. I thought, well, that's. I think I'm reading between the lines there and hoping that that's a good sign that we're going to keep Georgie on the list. That there's a deal incoming.
Agreed. No, sorry, my audio was causing some issues there for a second. Yeah, I agree. It is a strange one. He'll be a handy depth option for Adelaide, but I feel like he probably had a bit that he could have offered North Melbourne as they continue to rebuild, or begin to rebuild it. Who knows where they're at these days? The next one is Jamari Ugle-Hagan. Got to the Suns for pick 74. Peanuts one. The Dogs just wanted to need him gone. This could end up being one of those selections. I don't think the Dogs, no matter what he becomes at the Suns, I don't think the Dogs will have any regrets at all because it just was not working. But this could also be a scenario where he gets out of Victoria, gets in a new system, gets the right leadership around him. Not that, obviously Bont is no good, but, maybe it's just the right combination of people. You get Anderson, you get Rowell, you get Miller, you get Dimmer Hardwick, you get all those, whatever the right combination of people is around him. And all of a sudden, who knows? He could be kicking, big back to kick maybe 30, 40 in his first year. And then who knows from there? Obviously, the talent is sky high. So it's a very low risk investment from the Suns and could pay big dividends. It could also blow up in their face, but they've given nothing up for him. So,
well, look, I think, I'm more inclined to trust the Suns, player management, etc. these days than I would have, say, maybe 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
A guy that's been up, that's the sort of antics that Jamar has been up to during the course of this year. I'm not convinced Gold Coast is the greatest place for him to be. But
yeah, it's party central, right? Just hit surfers and go nuts.
But on the flip side of that, I think a few people, a few of the Hoops Crew folk here are aware, have some inside knowledge of his situation, and a lot of his issues had to do with the company he was keeping.
Yes,
that were
getting. He was then making with some of those, yeah.
Like that, his hangers on from he's from Warrnambool and wherever he's from and stuff like that.
You might be able to shake some of them a little bit by just moving interstate.
It can't hurt, and I mean, look, that's the thing. Is I'm pretty sure. They get a free swing at him, so what can you say? But and for a potential talent like that, a player who can come straight in and potentially kick you 50, 60 goals a year, you may as well have a look at it. But geez, they've got to keep an eye on it because my main concern would be, and this is my concern with us looking at him, is it's just you work really hard to build a culture, right, and to build these kinds of things, and unless you're ready to you see that one apple going rotten, unless you're prepared to put your hand in there, you're on it and you're ready to pull that apple out before it rots the whole bunch.
Everything else. Yeah,
you've got to be on it. So look, I think if they believe that they can, that they believe they can get the best out of him, well, they haven't, it hasn't cost them a whole lot in terms of resources, but yeah, they'd want to be keeping a real close eye on it, and
pull the trigger when the time is right. Obviously, the AFL's intervened so much already, so there's levers you can pull probably sooner. And also shout out to Thomas, who's disappearing for the night. Yeah, go play some Ghost of Yote, mate. It's one of the best games of the year. You'll enjoy it.
And let me just I hope that I hope he gets it together. I hope he sort of realises that he wasn't football or otherwise, he's not heading down a good path. And that he's got an opportunity here that a lot of guys his age don't get.
And his talent is what's given him a second chance. So
right. So, and a lot of guys a lot of guys don't get that second chance. So, yeah, I hope for his sake he makes the most of it. And if he could do that, then the Suns, good on him for taking a fly, taking a risk with him and making it work.
Bit of a free swing in some ways, yeah. I know nothing about Jack Buller. Never heard of him before today. But yeah, 2026 first round pick and Jack Buller to the Pies. Sydney get a third round pick. So there's a slight shuffle there, probably about 12 spots. Nothing too significant. But what do you think of this one? Do you know anything about Jack Buller at all? He's not a name that's really come across my desk at all.
I'm not hugely familiar with his work. I have seen a little bit of him. I mean, look, I think essentially Collingwood is just, they need a bigger body up forward. They need a big body of any kind up forward with particularly with Mychek moving on. And sort of McStay, his sort of position is looking a bit shaky there as well.
Yeah.
So, I think they just need a young, big body that, they can potentially develop into a solid player. I don't think he's ever going to be a superstar, but I think if he's the sort of guy they get 40 goals a year out of, they'd be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, 100%. The next one is one of the trades that we discussed much earlier in the stream tonight, the Paddy Rechko one. He's gone to Richmond for pick 99. Honestly, I mean, we obviously delisted him. I know a few people, we've revisited this conversation a couple of times over the course of the night. Why did we manage to trade a delisted player? He is still technically on the books. It's like we're indicating that we are going to delist you once the cutoff date of your contract expires. But I guess Richmond in this particular case were keen to ensure that they got him, and so they transacted through trade to lock him down. Successful in that regard. Oh, geez, I can hear possums piling across the top of my shed right now. Great.
I can hear that.
The dogs are losing their shit out there too. Great. Makes for good viewing. Barking right outside the door. Anyway, pick 99. Look, good on him. It gives him a second chance. Obviously, Jake's already put together a video on Rechko and Novicic that got delisted by us. Good to see one of them already getting a second chance.
Yeah, I'm glad to see that he's got an opportunity there, because I was pretty surprised that we indicated we were going to move him on, but unfortunately, however, and I thought he was, what I saw him at VFL level, he looked pretty promising, but obviously he's still a ways down the pecking order. So, unfortunately, list requirements are that you've got to move X amount of people on, and he's sort of
he's one of those.
He had to be one of those, whether we rated him or not. And I think the fact that we're willing to make sure that he got to a club that wanted him, indicates that we think that we got rid of him, or we let him go, not necessarily because we wanted to, but because we had to. So, and I think, I hope he shows a bit, goes on with it at Richmond.
Not too much success, especially against us, but yeah, you're right. We've obviously spoken about Christian Petrarca already, so we'll move on there to Jack Steele. Again, a bit of discussion about Jack Steele so far tonight. 2027, I think, if I recall, it might have been the only 2027 pick involved. The 2027 third round pick tied to Melbourne. St Kilda received that in exchange for their captain. And yeah, I'll go back to what we said before. I think they just absolutely did him dirty with the way they've treated him, and I hope that sends a few shudders through those other players at the club, that this is what they're willing to do. Merritt wanted to leave. Simpkin wanted to leave. Oscar Allen wanted to leave. These are all captains that, maybe rightly or wrongly, it's up for debate whether some of these guys were making the right decision, but the ball was in their court and they made the choice. Jack Steele, the captain, you've walked up and said, no, thanks. You've gotten us. You've tried to help us, carry us through some tough times. You've done some amazing things for us. See ya. We don't watch anymore. Like, it's so disrespectful.
Yeah, atrocious. Like, I honestly, I can't think of anything. I can't. I said my bit about Security earlier, and stuff like this. This is why they've won one flag in 100 odd years, because they're shit, and they do shitty things like this to like
to good people.
I mean, even if. I don't know. I mean, I watched St Kilda, a little bit this year, and he certainly wasn't at his absolute, wasn't in the form of previous years this year for sure. I don't know whether that was, to do with, a bit of I think there was probably a bit of a change. I think they probably saw it as, well, we've got to get Naz in the guts here, and someone's going to have to move along. And when they sort of looked at it and had to make a choice about who was going to make way, it's like somehow it was the captain that sort of ended up getting moved aside in that shuffle. And then come the end of the year, it's like, no, you're cooked, mate. You're done. Go somewhere else. Like, I don't.
So we've got a little bit of an update here, and it's I'm just cycling back to our Rowan Marshall conversation. Shadoo's posted it, but I've also just found the tweet from Tom Morris. Geelong offered their first rounder, pick 40, and a later pick in 2027 for Marshall. So they went even further than what we our most recent update, and St Kilda still weren't interested.
No, I think Ross just decided we're not dealing. Yep. We're not doing.
Yeah. So our next one here is Clayton Oliver. Again, Peanuts one, but it is crazy the difference. 12 months ago, we were offering first rounders. Melbourne said no, and now all of a sudden they've given him away for a third round pick. And admittedly, leadership has changed, and that's one of the big things I'll put as a disclosure thing across all of this. Leadership's changed. Stephen King's come in. He's made up his own mind about what they need to do to the list. Presumably, he's convinced other leadership, and they've had to go, well, look, optically, we're going to maybe look a bit stupid here, but we've got to do what we've got to do. They also got a really good package for Rowan Marshall, despite what they also had to get. Not Rowan Marshall, for Christian Petrarca. Despite how we all, I think Gold Coast are the winners. Melbourne did pretty well out of it as well. But yeah, the Clayton Oliver one, optically, they look pretty foolish.
Well, I mean, remember, like Track wanted out last year too, but somehow I like, well, this is the thing. I feel like they actually might have got more for him this year than they might have got last year. But the Clayton Oliver one, like, I'm and the fact that they're paying a very substantial chunk of that contract they signed him to, like,
it's a strange old one, considering, like, if Melbourne's going to stump up a lot of that cost, there should be an argument there to go, well, give us a bit more for it, like in terms of the picks. Like, we're still paying for this bloke. You're going to get him for peanuts. Last year 2024 was probably career low. This year was a step back in the right direction, especially late in the season. You're like, I'm starting to see the signs. Problem is, a bit like Giath, he can butcher the ball from time to time. Like, his disposal efficiency, especially going inside, can be a problem. But he can be a great foil for some of these other blokes. Like, he can be the perfect foil for some of those other guys on the Giants list. Unfortunately for the Giants, I think it's already announced that they're basically without Josh Kelly for the majority of next year. He's one of those really, really good high efficiency players. So it's probably good for them to get another midfielder in through that lens. But I don't understand the D's thinking here.
Look, I'd like to quote the words of the great Rick James about, cocaine's a hell of a drug. But I mean, look, I think in the end, Well, I don't know. I feel like you sign a bloke who. How many best affairs he won there? Like 3.
Oh no,
Four,
he
something like that?
was. Oh, hang on, let me. Clayton Oliver.
He won a few BNFs there.
Yeah, there was a good. I feel like there was even 4 or 5. He was on track to set records there. What's their All Australian called
Is
again?
it the
Louis
Blue
Trust got one?
Yeah.
He's won 4 of them: 17,
4.
19, 21, and 22.
Yeah.
So
there you
one
go.
in a premiership year.
Yeah. So again, like obviously there's some off-field issues. There's been some off-field issues there, but look,
Australian 2018, 21, 22, and he was the coaches award champion player of the year in 21 and 22 as well. So
yeah. So I just think that's a classic case of, I think Melbourne wanted to, give him a chance to sort of to come good, but I think the relationship between club and player deteriorated to the point where it's like, basically they left themselves in a position where it was like, well, look, we'll basically give him to you and pay some of his things. We just got to move on here. I suppose you take that. That's the risk you take. But as far as GWS goes, well, it could be again a bit the same with a bit the same with like Jamara, I guess. Like you take a talented player who's and let's face it, Clayton Oliver's done a fair bit more in footy than Jamara has. And still has enough sort of age wise that he could theoretically have 5 or 6 years left in him. So if GWS can get around
tap
him
into it,
and look, obviously I think the main thing where I think we've all noticed if you've been following the trade radio and stuff that like he's stung. So I expect that he's going to be pretty motivated to get out there next year and
hope so.
prove a few people wrong.
Yeah, no, I wish him nothing but the best. Shame he didn't make it to the Cats a couple of years ago because I think we could have extracted the best out of him as well, but is what it is. And then there's obviously the last deal here, the final deal of the trade period, which we've discussed already a fair bit. There was the Charlie Curnow one. We've kind of done that one to death, so I won't kind of belabor that one too much. But any final thoughts on that particular deal?
Yeah, all I can say there is I think as you guys mentioned earlier, the Swans like to get their big market
key forward.
Yeah. And I think their marketable key forward, and I think he's he fits that bill. I want to say they ended up paying overs for him, but then I'd say if they feel that they can carry it, or they can. I mean, I don't know. It's probably one of those things where if they've sort of we're in a period where they've sort of got the run of academy picks with the academies and stuff like that. So it's like, they're probably in a slightly better position to make that kind of deal than we were, for example, even if we had players we could throw into the mix. So I think Carlton did the right thing holding out. I think they did the right thing.
Extracted the best deal possible, for sure.
Yeah. I think they got a good deal. I think they did the right thing making the deal. But I think, if Sydney can, now it's up to Sydney whether they can get the best out of Charlie. But I think, I think Carlton did as well as they could possibly expect out of the whole thing.
100%. And so that's the final one of our deals there. I'll quickly because I can still see Amy getting upset about St Kilda. Chris on Twitter has just popped up something for us here that we can all get around, and as Cats fans, we can bask in this for a moment here. Let me find what I'm looking for. We'll hit play. Geez, the resolution on this thing. It's bringing tears to your eyes, mate. I can see it already.
I watched that game in full. I did my own little footy marathon before the Grady a couple of weeks back, and that was when I watched that game in its entirety. And yes, it definitely brought back some. That's my of the three flags of that time. That was my favourite of the three, to be perfectly honest.
My favourite too, and it's the one that unfortunately of the three of that era, that's the one I missed. So, which is disappointing. Went to 07, went to 11. I'm obviously very, very fortunate to go to those. I know so many people don't get to go to grand finals. But geez, I would have traded both of those to get to 2009, I think.
Yeah.
But that's all of course, right? You never know. So
I think though, I wouldn't. If I could only have picked one of the grand finals to go to, it would have been 07, because I sort of knew we were going to blast Port. After nearly having that scare in the prelims, like, we're going to go out today, and I don't care who. It wouldn't matter who we played today. We are going to smash them. And basically watching the whole second half was just a procession. Like it was. To see the drought broken was pretty good. But 2009, I think the thing after they beat us in that game, round 13, I think it was, and we just basically said, right, we're not going to make the same mistake as we made last year. We're going to start resting blokes, So we just like rotate. I think we did Otto go out for most of the rest of that year? We sort of put him on ice, and I think we put Pops on ice for a bit, and we're just rotating blokes through, and we didn't, we weren't as dominant, but I kept saying to people, it's like, look, we're just trying to make sure we don't fuck things up like we did last year, where we've got guys breaking down and
at the wrong time,
in the finals, like we've done the hard work. We're going to finish top four. We've just got to just make sure that we're right, So yeah, but I remember going. I had a pretty big night the night before the grand final that year, and my brother's a St Kilda supporter, and someone that I on Big Footy had a ticket a last minute ticket that became available, and I called my brother and I said, look, got a spare ticket here if you want it. Like, do you want to come along? And he's like, yeah, I'm in. So he came. I met him, and while he was buying his ticket, I'm standing there waiting for him, and I'm just thinking, I've been so confident about, I've been so confident this year that that we had it right, that this is what we're doing and why we're doing it and all that kind of thing. But even so, God, we're gonna have to. These guys are a bloody good side, and we're gonna have to play at our absolute best to beat this mob today. And then I think I watched that prelim, the 2007 prelim, and I sort of thought, I don't know if you were at that game, but the feeling of relief when that siren went, it was like just all of the air in my body just went whoosh.
Yeah, and obviously I didn't have all the same level of baggage. Like I was really young through 89. Well, I mean 89 was the year I was born, but through a lot of those 90s attempts, one of my earliest footy memories was the 95 grand final. Like I guess I don't really carry a lot of that baggage that so many others did, but like I did my research. I knew what I was getting into when we got into the 2007 prelim. 18 years old, I learned, didn't live it, but I'd learnt it. Or sorry, didn't live it live in the moment, but I'd learnt it all. Knew what it meant, and 100% like went nuts when when Gary Ablett kicked that goal. Whew.
Even then, it was just like, for me, it was more because I was working graveyard shifts during that era, and I just remember being at work, like got to the last like month of the season, and I'm just doing, walking around doing my job at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm just thinking, we're going to win this. We're going to win. We are going to win this flag. We're going to win the flag this year. Wow. And then when it got to that prelim, it's like, even right at the end there, it's like, my God, if one of these tin asses just throws this on the boot and it goes through like Nick Davis style, that was more what I was thinking. I wasn't really thinking about the 90s. I was thinking about that Nick Davis game. It's like, if he just someone just picks this up and throws it on the boot and it flies through for a goal and we lose and we don't even make the granny, like, But like in 2009, it was like that feeling. It was the same, but ramped up to 11, because it was just when that toe poke came, it was like, shit, anybody can win this. Anybody can win this, and there can't be long to go. It's
coming down to it's moments now, rather than it's not game plans, it's not structures, it's moments.
Yeah, nobody knew how long there was to go, and it really wasn't until even Harry Taylor took that mark.
Yep.
And I was just like, I looked at my brother and I just said,
we might have done it.
I think we've got it. I think we've got it. And just that feeling there was just this feeling of relief followed by euphoria, even right before the siren went, that I was just like, and the fact, like, and the other thing with that, I always mentioned, is like, looking at, I've never seen my brother was just devastated, absolutely devastated. Like, to go through a game that had been that close and that tight all day, and then it just gets to that last minute, and it's like, we didn't win. It's like, that was one of those games where unfortunately there had to be a loser. Unfortunately, it was them.
Shit. Well, I reckon it's a work night for me, so I'm not gonna kick on too ridiculously late, and I should probably go see my wife. I put my son to bed and walk straight out here. I haven't seen her since she's put the kids to bed, so I might get out and be sociable and say hi and walk inside and realize that she's already gone to bed for the night. But mate, it's been awesome to get to chat, to debrief on Trade Week with yourself, with Kiri, with Ben Reeve doing his thing in the background there. He's been long gone for a little while now, which is why some of the random memes haven't been popping up. But let's bring a few of these highlights back, of course. Firstly, old mate. But we've got Crossley, Tom Petro for the day with his finger pointing. We've got, what's this one? Happy. Okay, right. I didn't see that one before. You didn't pin that one before. What do we got? What was this one? Clocks his 27,000th step for the day. We've got Crossley coming across from the chaps. We've got Andrew Mackey. We'll get him next year for a future fourth. Kiri was right in regards to Fev. What's Kel Toomey saying here? Oh, that's him. Yep. Ben, hurry up. Get him on board. Nick Dacos, of course. The done deal. And Reece Stanley. Plenty of good work from Ben in the background. Plenty of good work from yourself, Ben, and Kiri as well. It's been awesome to have you all on board tonight. And Trade Week, not Trade Week. Trade Week is done, but the draft is still before us, and absolutely there's still going to be content from us. The chaps will be doing plenty around the AFLW in the next few weeks. We've got, there we go. The draft's held 19th and 20th of November, so about a month to go, and there'll be plenty of coverage there. I recall about a week or two ago now, that Jake was taking some notes there in the Discord of players that you need to go and research. So that you can put together some videos there for people to kind of analyze some of the players who are potentially in the sights of the Cats or who, in his mind, we should be considering. So people should stay tuned to all that as well. But Horatio, thanks for coming on board, mate. Look forward to chatting to you inevitably again closer to draft time.
Yeah, no problems at all. Thanks for having me. And, see you after the draft, I guess.
No worries, mate. Thanks for coming on board.
Beautiful.
See you, mate. And to everyone now, as we wrap that one up, it's been a pleasure to chat to you again. It's true post-game style. We've gone for nearly 3 hours there. Thank you all for checking it out. And yeah, as I said, we'll be back in live format for the draft in a few weeks from now. I'll be still breaking out different videos. There's probably got to be one that I'm not going to be able to record after this. I'm going to be knackered, but there's definitely going to have to be some sort of recording about what has befallen Rowan Marshall and the Cats in this particular transaction. We'll then start casting an eye forward to the draft. And of course, hang on, what? Ben says $100 super chat for an extra 20 minutes. If someone did it, I'll do it. That's fine. No worries. It's not going to happen, but if it happened, yeah, sure. I'll kick around for a bit longer. I'll sign everything off and then just start rambling for another 20. We'll talk about whatever. But thank you to all of you for having tuned in tonight. It's been a pleasure as always. If you enjoy this, make sure to subscribe to the Hoops Crew on YouTube, like this video, share it with your friends and family, get the word out there about all of the content that we are creating. There's a lot of it and some very lengthy shows just like this one. If you enjoy that, consider checking out our Patreon, patreon.com/thehoopscrew, where you can get early access to content, extended content, early access content as well. Lots of good stuff there for you to enjoy from myself, Ben, and the chaps. $500 and I go till sunrise. I could be tempted. Money's important. No. Your boy has a job interview on Friday. I'm looking after myself. I said that publicly. Oh, whatever. Check out the Patreon if you've got stuff that you're enjoying and want to get more of it. There's plenty there to bask in. You'll find me on socials at Paul James Games. That's Twitter, Blue Sky, and Instagram. The Hoops Crew, you'll find it at The Hoops Crew. And until next time, remain Geelong strong, everyone. Rowan Marshall will see you in the Hoops in 12 months from now. I'll see you later.
It's time for the show. Talking pussy town facts, mitts, forwards and backs. Representing G-Town while talking the smack. Clashing facts like Patty, where the hell you at? Hoops Crew are exploding, don't ever look back. Then we got Paul, yeah, he knows his stuff. He's a man, he's a myth, taking on the nuffs. The man don't miss, he loves to react. His words cut deep, he's a counterattack. Balls on fire, brings a mic to life. Don't fuck with B-Dog if you value your life. Oh, they fuck shit up, yeah, they run G-Town. The Hoops Crew's here and they'll never back down. Jake, Tommy, Sambo, always rocking the game. Benny and Paul, man, remember the names. In the studio, Jake's bringing the noise. With Johnny and Sambo, the chaps, chat boys, they're electric and they're ready to roll. The boys are on fire and they're taking control. Recaps and previews, yeah, they cover it all. Part of the Hoops Crew with Benny and Paul. They fuck shit up, yeah, they run G-Town. The Hoops Crew, baby, they'll never back down. Jake, Johnny, Sambo, always rocking the game. Benny and Paul, chasing glory and fame. Brad with the sleeves, Max Holmes and Jack Bowes. Tommy fucking Atkins, he'll break your damn nose. Stewie in the middle, and Reese in the ruck. They see Big Jezza and they know they're fucked. They're the G-Town boys, go hard or go home. They're fucking insane, taking over the throne. Oh, they fuck shit up, yeah, they run G-Town.